And to that piece of lieutenant that's always on his podcast, bashing us, him.
Afternoon, people. So, before you watch this live stream, which is an upload of this morning's 8:05 a.m. show, keep in mind this is a re-upload because YouTube actually took down our live stream as we were live on air. Their reasoning is that the video of the shooter, displayed a firearm, and they have a policy against showing videos of transport of firearms. So, without any further ado, here's the re-upload again. However, once you get to the portion of the video with the shooter, keep in mind we've edited it to now be a still image rather than the video of the shooter carrying the firearm. That's just so we could stay within YouTube's terms and be able to re-upload it again. So, anyway, take care, guys.
All right, everybody, attention to roll call. Happy Monday. Thanks, everybody, for joining this morning. Hope everybody had a happy and safe 4th. We're going to be talking about special victims detective, 13 days or 10 days away from retirement, who almost got his head blown off because he was shot in the back by his own department. And more than likely, I don't just mean that figuratively. I mean that literally as well. We're going to go through the press conference. We're going to talk about all that stuff. Appreciate everybody joining this morning. As always, you got any thoughts, make sure you're on YouTube, weigh in. Those of you on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, wherever else you're listening or watching, X, Instagram, whatever it is, come over onto Facebook at The Finest Unfiltered, weigh in the chat, and we'll ask and answer any questions. We don't see everything. If you want to ensure that we do something, make sure you put in a super chat, and we'll see those. So, Marlon, what's up, brother?
Yo. Morning, guys. Morning, chat. I see some of our regulars are already in there. Good morning, Mike Freed. Morning, Amazing Aunt, Danny. Good morning, brother. Detective Nolan, Joe Mango. Yeah, guys. Morning. I hope you all had a great Independence Day. And, thank God for that rain because it's finally starting to cool down in New York. And I'm sure the department's thanking the rain also for stopping the onslaught of shootings that they had over this weekend. But there's a lot to dig into that that press conference and what actually happened. And I'm ready to go, and
all right,
ready to talk about it.
Awesome. Yeah, and just a quick update on Eric. Eric's doing well. Spoke to him via text the last 2 days. I've been busy, been running around with family. I'm in parts unknown down the Jersey Shore, but he's doing well. He's just ready to come back when he's just not at this point ready to come back. As soon as he's up to it, he'll definitely come back. So he's looking forward to it. We're looking forward to having him back once he's all healed up. So until then, he's just going to take a little hiatus, take a little rest, and then he'll be back though. So appreciate everybody who was asking and wondering what's going on. So all right, let's just go right to it because I think I had a pretty good weekend. I spent a lot of time with my close family, my cousins. Interacted with a lot of people prior to that I hadn't seen in a long time. So, and then all the nonsense started, and it wasn't just there was a ton of nonsense leading up to this. I kept getting messages from people that they were post change up to 4 times on a July 4th detail. They're what do you ever remember hearing about this? You get assigned to go work the 4th of July detail, and then or sale 250 or whatever it is. And then next thing you know, that detail breaks up, and instead of getting released, they're like, oh yeah, go over to Brooklyn. All right, you know what? Post change in Brooklyn and go over to this post. Post change here and go over that. And that was happening a lot. So that was one thing that I was saying, and then the other thing is a lot of civilians was sending me that they were trying to actually get in to see the fireworks, and all the mismanagement that was occurring down in downtown Manhattan and throughout the rest of the city, as well as, the usual, look, 4th of July is what it is. You're always going to get people shooting off fireworks. I actually thought we stopped confiscating fireworks, but I saw a lot of stuff that we were actually confiscating fireworks. So there was like this whole mishmash of different types of enforcement, different types of leadership, depending what borough you were in, depending what detail you were on. And it just looked completely unorganized. I'm like, I don't understand. The country's 250 years old, the department's 175 years old, and we haven't figured out any of this stuff. Like, we don't know anything. Like, we forgot how to do everything. And so I think, 4th of July is always a little chaotic. So I give a little leeway, but I think this one was much, much worse. I watched the press conference after I heard that the cop was shot. I knew the cop was shot prior to it being publicly released. And I heard he was good. He was in good condition. He got shot in the back, which raises a huge red flag. Anytime you hear that, like, how did he get shot in the back? Was he running towards cover? Like, what happened? Did he get hit from behind? Did someone sneak up from behind him, try to blow his head off and hit his vest? So those are all those questions I had. And then that morning, the press conference comes, and I don't know if you guys were, but I was infuriated watching it. And so, it's about 12 minutes. We won't watch the whole thing in continuity. We'll just keep stopping it. But this is, I just expect a lot better. First off, I'm just going to say that nobody looks like they're ready to be here other than the Chief of Patrol, Phil Rivera, and the other bald guy up to the right. The rest of them look like they were out partying. They were out doing whatever. They don't want to be there. They don't know what they're doing. And that includes Mayor Mondani. He looks like he had a rough night the night before. He looks like he's having a hard time even just standing there. So I'm sitting there and I'm going, if you're a police commissioner, if you're a union president, if you're a mayor, if you're the chief of department, if you're the chief of patrol, you should understand the role you're in. And guess what? Just like all your cops where their 4th of Julys are ruined, so is yours. Even if you're not technically working that night, you don't need to hit alcohol. Like, I don't understand, like, how people get into these positions that are big boozers. I just don't understand it. Like, if you're a boozer, these positions are not for you, because you got to be ready on a moment's notice to go out there. And dude, I wouldn't even say anything because it's the 4th of July, but you got to expect that there's going to be a lot of violence on the 4th of July, right? You got to expect that bad things can happen on the 4th of July. You're in a very high position, dude. And it's like, it's always, dude. It doesn't matter. Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night. We see these press conferences time and time again. And it looks like the same disheveled messes showing up unprepared while you're leaving your men and women out there, and I'm not even just talking about the members of the department. I'm talking about the public that you claim to care about, that you claim that you want to be out there and serve. It's an embarrassment, dude. So I just want to say that. Anything before I play the video, Marlon?
Yeah, you made a good point about that. That's a lesson like you learn very early on the job, that if I got to work in the morning, I can't be showing up like I can't be showing up with a partly stoned or with a hangover. I remember one time when I was a cadet, I went out partying with some of the guys, the older detectives that were there, and I had to show up for one of these cadet details. Believe it or not, they have those where you got to show up and help, like community affairs or something with one of these parades. But they have those, right? And I remember I was still kind of like out of it in the morning, and I even fell asleep on the train, and the train went past my stop. And after that, I was like, man, I'm never doing that again. Now I was a cadet, which is just an administrative role, right? To be doing that as a cop when you actually have responsibilities, especially if you're these guys who are the senior management of the department. For them to be out of it right now is like ridiculous, and especially Scott. Scott, look like we'll get to that point, but Scott definitely looked like he wasn't there completely. And that's really pathetic for you guys who are making all that money and to be at the senior management of the department and the leadership position in the unions. So
yeah, it's pathetic. Honestly, it's a pathetic, disgraceful display. And like I said, if it was once in a blue moon, I wouldn't even bring it up. But it's always, it's like every press conference I'm watching, I'm like, do you guys really care? Because I don't think you do. And I'm not holier than thou. Like I don't drink now, but that wasn't always the case for me. I did drink, but I always drank responsibly. Like I had things to do. I have kids. I have a wife. I have a household I have to hold down. I had a career I had to hold down. I mean, I feel like I'm more dedicated to this podcast, which I could probably show up hungover and disheveled, and really wouldn't be a big deal, than they are to managing the city of New York. And I'm like, and managing the largest municipal police force in the world. And by the way, it shows. The public sees it, the rank and file sees it. It's like it shows the effort that you guys are putting in. It really does, like the media spin and the friendly media, it's like guess what? It's not always going to be that for you. It's just not. And you're not really going to control reality. You could attempt to control the perception, but you're not always going to control the reality. Let's go into the press conference. And we'll start talking, because I'm sitting there and I actually wanted to know what happened. I kind of had the gist of what happened, but I really wanted to know. And then I'm sitting there and I'm going, what the hell am I watching?
Good morning. I am here to brief you on a police-involved shooting that resulted in one NYPD detective being shot in the Crown Heights section of Brooklyn. The information that I'm about to provide is quite preliminary and it is subject to change. We do not have body-worn camera video of the actual shooting incident, presumably because it happened so quickly and unexpectedly, but a number of officers activated their cameras post-discharge. What we can say at this point is that at approximately 4:14 this morning.
So what she is saying is that they do have body-worn camera. They do have body-worn camera. That's exactly what she's saying. And the other thing is, we've spoken about this before, and I don't understand what people don't get about it. If you go to Axon.com, it literally tells you that your camera's always on. And we've seen in numerous shootings throughout this country that there was non-activated body camera video released. So I just want to get that out there. Like, I don't understand what people don't understand about that. That if that body camera has power in it, and more than likely, even if it's out of power, it has some like type of backup thing, that thing is recorded. So that's one. Secondly, even if you had what happened after the initial discharge, you have body camera video. Not only that, by the time this press conference happened, I would assume and I would hope that FID and whoever else was helping FID out there and did a thorough video canvas and got the video canvas and got the entire incident on camera. I mean, this isn't 1990. This isn't the early 2000s. There's cameras everywhere. So to me, once I heard that, I'm like, you're looking to suppress something. As soon as I heard that, I was like, wait a minute. What are you saying? What are you trying to say? You're trying to say there's no video of this incident? I mean, because I couldn't even push that in 2008 when there really wasn't any. So I mean, like it was a hard sell in 2008, 2010, 2012 when there actually was no camera, there was no body camera, there was no video. When I went to do video canvases, there was no cameras. What are your thoughts about that, Marlon? Do you think that do you think we have the entire incident on camera? I mean, the media's coming out with some pretty good videos.
I think that we do have something. I mean, so I don't understand. Like you said, like she says, we don't have body cam footage when it explicitly listen. We know that the prior to you actually turning on the body cameras are actually recording footage. So what is it? What is she talking about here? I'm confused. If the detectives activated it just after the shooting, then that means you actually do have some footage. So I'm a little confused at that, And by the way, the NYPD's own body cam policy states that, So it says that once powered on, BWC's body-worn cameras will record over a 60-second video only pre-event buffer in continuous loop. So It's also been stated by Axon, by the way. I'm just now going through this body cam policy. So it actually records prior to you turning it on, you know?
And even more than 60 seconds. Like it's on always. Like they could
Yeah,
go
yeah,
back into it.
it's
Literally
rewriting it.
just go to axon.com. That's it. Just go to axon.com. It's not hard. Like
Yeah.
it's not us like just pulling this out of our ass. Like it says it.
Yeah.
So that's one. But I'm not even a harp on that. It's like whatever. Like whatever. To me, it's a clear deflection and it's a blatant lie. Like, oh, we don't have body cam of this video of the initial, but we do have it after. All right. So are you going to release it or are you not going to release it? You're so quick. They're so quick, this department, to release body camera when it looks good for them. So quick for it. So quick when it fits the narrative. And I'm not saying when it looks good for the department. I'm saying when it looks good for them as leadership. Right? I'm not even saying like when it looks good for the cops or it doesn't look good for the cops. I'm saying when it looks good for them, they'll release that body worn camera, no problem. So that's one. And there's video out there where we're seeing it. We'll bring you some of it. I mean, this isn't hard. So like, I'm not saying there's something not right about that statement or right off the bat. So, all right, let's go further into this.
Officers assigned to a mobile field force detail in the confines of the 7-7 precinct were parked in an unmarked police vehicle on the.
So, all right. Before, I just want to go back. She says that this occurred at 4:40 in the morning, I believe she said, right prior to that. So again, this individual, this cop specifically, he was assigned, as per the New York Post, he was assigned to the Sale 250 detail. So if we're fully staffed, how does he end up mobile field force at 4:40 in the morning in Brooklyn, all the way over? In the heart of Brooklyn, nowhere near a sailboat, nowhere near the harbor. How does he, if the department is at or near the allotted head count, like it's at or near historic lows in crime, how is it possible that people have been getting post changed throughout the night? I've never heard of that. I'm sorry. I've never seen that. And talking to all the cops and I talked to a lot of people that had a lot more time on this job than me and people that did a lot more things, and they don't remember that. Getting post changed 3 or 4 times on July 4th. How did he end up there and you're sitting there telling us we have the properly allotted manpower and we're managing everything so well? To me, I'm saying right now that fact alone, that you're tour changing people, you're ordering people in on their days off, you're canceling RDOs, you're making people that are working come in 3 hours post-tour, 3 hours pre-tour. Like, that shows right there that there is a big, big lie about the manpower in the NYPD. I'm like, what do you think about that, Marlon? Am I exaggerating this? Am I wrong? Do you remember ever getting post changed? Do you remember getting ordered in consistently, canceling RDOs consistently? I mean, this has been happening since the Knicks got in the finals. I don't remember an extended period like this where there wasn't like a natural disaster or a terrorist attack or something happened across the world that we were worried about happening here, Japanese subway bombing, like things, really, really dangerous situation, not just events and holidays. I don't remember this ever. And I'll tell you right now, have I ever been post changed during a detail? Yes, I have, but not 4 times, not 3 times. I have never been post changed from like, oh yeah, you're gonna do this. You're gonna be watching the sailboats in the harbor to, oh yeah, you're gonna be doing crime reduction in the middle of Brooklyn North. Like, do you remember that? Like, has that ever happened to you?
Yeah. I don't. I never had one of these post changes where I go from a big event, and then I have to go back to another detail in Brooklyn. Now, granted, I've had post changes, but that's usually around West Indian Day Parade. And that's usually because even after the parade is over, there are still parties going on and in Brooklyn North. So, and 7-3 tends to be, a madhouse around that time. So, I've had a detail where, the West Indies Day Parade was over and then we were detailed to to a mobile response unit in the 7-3 because block parties were getting out of hand and the precinct was short that night. So it does happen, but not on this scale where you're going from one detail in Manhattan to another detail in Brooklyn, especially after, you've worked a like 8-hour tour already. In fact, I kind of wish they had back then because I would have loved that overtime, but this is something that seems to be happening now because, again, as we've talked about many times, they are short of people, of cops.
100%, dude. Like, absolutely. To me, it just exposes it. It totally exposes what's going on. All right, let's go further.
West side of Nostrand Avenue and St. John's Place when an individual approached their car. That same individual was captured on CCTV video 5 minutes prior and 1 block north with a firearm in his hand. Given the lack of body-worn camera in this incident, the circumstances of the approach are still unclear, but we can say that officers exited their vehicle and attempted to engage the armed individual. There is also ballistic damage to the department vehicle that the officers were sitting in, including bullet holes in the front and rear windshields and the passenger side of the car. 3 officers discharged their weapons. The subject was not struck. After a foot pursuit, the subject was apprehended a few blocks away from the incident location at Rogers Avenue and Union Street. During the apprehension, the subject resisted arrest and refused to be handcuffed. A taser was deployed and the subject was taken into custody. A SAR 9mm firearm was recovered. During the gunfire, one detective was struck in the back of his ballistic vest. X-rays show a contusion to the detective's back near where the bullet struck his vest. A second officer suffered a contusion to the face and the shoulder. The officers involved in this incident were there as part of our 4th of July violence reduction plan to address ongoing crew violence in the area. The officers had been reassigned there shortly before midnight from a Sale 250 detail in Lower Manhattan earlier in the day. The injured officers were immediately transported to Kings County Hospital. The officer who was shot is Detective Robert Carroll of the Sex Offender Monitoring Unit. I have visited with Detective Carroll, and I am grateful to report that he is expected to make a full recovery.
So I just want to stop there before we get into Detective Robert Carroll. So if you listen to what she said that he was assigned to a different detail earlier in the day. So my question is, what time was that? I think most people that were assigned to these details, there was an earlier detail and then there was a later detail. There was a 0700 start. And then there was like a 1430 start and I forget the exact start times, but like 1430, like 2:30 in the afternoon start. So there were 2 different tours working that day. But I'm sure if I did a survey of the department, you're going to hear that guys have been there from 7 o'clock in the morning and they weren't released till after this happens, like way into 5:30 in the morning. Completely dangerous. Completely dangerous. You're putting lives at risk. You expect cops to be perfect at every single turn. Now, the people standing up at this press conference right now, like I said, there's only 2 guys, actually 3. I'll say Kenny looks sharp to me too. Like the bald guy over there to the far right, Kenny looks like he's got his act together, and Rivera looks like he's got his act together. The rest of them, they look like they couldn't stand the footpost for the next 15 minutes without having a drink of water and having to sit down and maybe take some Advil because they could barely get through this press conference, which was 12 minutes long. And so I'm sitting there and I'm going, you expect cops to be perfect, and they need to be, right? They're doing a very dangerous job. They're in a job where you could just be sitting in a car and next thing you know, some maniac comes up and just starts shooting you. Just start shooting at you, right? So you expect them to be perfect. You expect them to never make mistakes. You expect them to treat everybody respectfully, courtesy, whatever, professionalism, respect, right? CPR. And yet they're treated like they're robots. All right, you're going to do this. You're going to do this from 2:30 to 12 o'clock at night. And then from 12 o'clock at night to 7 p.m. then 7 a.m. the next morning, you're gonna monitor and do crime reduction violence. And you think that those guys are on the top of their game? I don't think so. The other thing that she says, and when you listen to her, she basically tells you that not only did we shoot Detective Robert Carroll in the back figuratively, we shot him in the back literally, because there were bullets that came through the front windshield and the side of the vehicle. So how was he shot in the back? How was he shot in the back? She never says the suspect shot him in the back. I never heard that. Did you hear it? I heard the suspect fired into the vehicle as they were getting out of the car through the front windshield and the side. So how does Detective Robert Carroll get shot in the back? Does he reach over, or did another MOS shoot him? And now look, if the case is it's friendly fire, it's a chaotic situation. I'm not saying that it's anybody's fault. I'm not saying that at all. It's possible that it's somebody's fault, and it's possibly there's negligence involved. But the negligence in my eyes falls on the part of the leadership that is keeping cops out there tired, demoralized for extended periods where even robots would have already went dead. Their batteries wouldn't have lasted. Guess what? These are humans. These are humans. Their reaction time needs to be in split seconds. They need to make perfect decisions. There's about 8,000 data points on a New York City street. Most people are only able to grab one or two. New York City cops are expected to grab all 8,000, and they probably need to be able to grab at least 50 just to keep themselves alive before we even talk about having the wherewithal to actually be a professional police officer. So there's a lot of things there. I hear that Detective Robert Carroll was shot in the back by the police department, figuratively and literally. What do you think about that, Marlon?
Yeah, I did think this press conference was weird in that they made certain allusions, and there's a lot of implications, but never any like specific mention of what those details were, like almost like they wanted you to fill in the details yourself. And I did think that's weird. I mean, was it an assassination attempt or was it not? Did he shoot into the car at the detectives or not? Plus, keep in mind they also brought up Detective Familia, and if you guys could recall, she was assassinated while in a NYPD communication truck, while sitting on in a fixed post. So when you evoke her memory, you are bringing up in light of what happened here, and in light of you saying that there were holes in the vehicle, you're kind of alluding to this being another assassination attempt, But if it is, say it, because if it was, we need to know, because there are a lot of implications for this, and this has to be studied so that we can prevent it from being replicated again. We have to look at all the tactics there, what went wrong, and how we can go about preventing it from happening again, or making sure the cops there are prepared for it. But they weren't really explicitly saying that. They're just alluding to it. But quick housekeeping, but for our civilians, Sale 250 was a parade of boats in Manhattan. Okay, so this detail was in Manhattan, and I'm not sure if there was any in by the harbor in Brooklyn, but keep in mind the location.
There's always a bunch of different ones. There's some in Staten Island, there's some in Brooklyn, there's some in Long Island City, there's some in the city. I mean, the major ones in the city, and we shut down the FDR and we allow people to watch it near and around the Brooklyn Bridge, basically all the way up to the UN building.
Yes. And keep in mind, the 7-7 is pretty much in the center of Brooklyn. Okay. So this is this is a zoom out. This is where it happened, and that's a good distance from where the detail would have been. So you can see the incident happened around St. John's and Nostrand at the top here, and the perp was caught on about let's see, 3 blocks north, 3 blocks south, and 1 block west in the adjacent precinct, which is the 7-1 precinct. Once you cross over Eastern Parkway, you're in a different command. And keep in mind now that I have a feeling this perp was probably running towards the Ebbets Field apartment, which are on Bedford and Montgomery in the 7-1 precinct. And if you know the area, you know that Ebbets Field is full of GDs, you know? So Bedford Avenue would be just one more block.
What's a
west.
GD for the audience, Marlon?
Gangster Disciples. It's Chicago based. They're let me see if I could recall this. GDs would be folk nation. So it's actually other groups that are tied in with the GDs under the folk nation, but the GDs have connections to some of the crews in this area. And back when I was there, we had intel that these crews were going down to Ebbets Field and getting buying their guns from there. So when there's beef up here, it tends to have some connection to Ebbets Field. But also keep in mind, when I was there, the perps on Nostrand would always be beefing with some of the perps on the east side, which is by Classen Avenue, which is over here, Classen Avenue. And they would also be beefing with some of the perps on the east side, which is all the way by the border of Brownsville. Because those guys, the guys on the east side and the guys on the far west side, they were connected. So that area has always been kind of rough. And I would say if you're on any sort of detail there early in the morning, you have to have your wits about you. Because if it's not gang beef, you'll get a robbery over here. Because even though this area has been improved a lot, you know, it's very hipsterized now with all sorts of restaurants that were never there when I had to do foot posts there, unfortunately. But in between, you still have some like old buildings where you have lots of perps. Okay, a lot of perps, a lot of these teenage crews. You know, so just a little housekeeping. Give you guys a background about that area.
So and then just another thing, right? Like, doesn't matter to me. I don't care how this shakes out. We're going to show you the video and you're going to see this kid has bad intentions. We're just saying, was the bad intentions to rob them? Or was the bad intentions to go get somebody else? Was he looking for someone else? Or was the bad intention to kill a cop? To me, it doesn't matter who fires first in this situation. Like, I'll tell you right now, if I see a kid cocking a gun and he's walking towards me like he's ready to do murder, I hope that I would have the reaction time to fire first. You know, usually the person that fires first wins first, right? Same thing with a person who throws the first punch usually wins the fight, right? So I'm not critiquing at all. I'm not trying to say that something's bad if in fact the cops fire first. I'm just curious. Like, did he start firing at them or did they start firing at him? Just and I don't believe we ever get that. You know what I mean? I don't know that we get that. He clearly has bad intentions to use that firearm. I'm just curious why it was. What was it? Was he walking down the block to go get someone else? Was he looking to go rob them? Did he notice them? Or did they jump out and they seen him coming down with the gun and then he starts firing or they fire at him? Again, the cops are 100% in the right here. It's not even a question of any. It doesn't matter which way it plays out to me. It's a good shoot. It doesn't matter. Like with the facts and with the video, we'll show you the cutoff video that will show you. You'll see that like if you were looking to stop someone from doing something bad as a police officer, you would have had to use deadly physical force as well because the perpetrator had bad intentions. I'm just curious what those bad intentions exactly were, like Marlon said. Let's go further into the press conference.
Ballistic vest performed exactly as it was designed, and today That vest saved his life. I want to thank the doctors and nurses and staff at Kings County Hospital for the excellent care that they are providing. The individual in custody is an 18-year-old male. We are not releasing his name at this time.
Why not? He's an adult. Is he not an adult, Marlon? Is 18? Did I miss something? Did we go backwards in the world? Why is his name not being released?
Yeah, it's very, very curious, right? Very curious. I think again that goes back to them explicitly not saying things, but planting seeds so that you can you kind of fill in the details yourself, and it's really really odd. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand that. He's an adult.
Mhm.
He was carrying a loaded firearm with intentions to do harm to people and got involved in a shootout with police officers. There's absolutely zero reason why his name's not released. Zero. He's under arrest. I mean, like, come on. Let's go further.
Investigators are currently conducting an extensive camera canvass. Because many businesses were closed overnight, we expect to recover additional video in the coming hours. What happened this morning is another reminder that police officers never know what they will encounter when they begin a tour. Even what appears to be a routine patrol assignment can turn life-threatening in just an instant. I would be remiss not to mention the weight of today's date, July 5th. 9 years ago to the day, Detective Miasotis Familia was assassinated while sitting in a command post vehicle on an overnight tour. She was murdered without warning for one reason, and that was because she wore an NYPD uniform. Before I close, I also want to provide a brief.
So you had spoke about this earlier, Marlon. I mean, was it necessary at this press conference?
Yeah.
Was it like, is this how we honor the family? And FYI, Familia's family still till today does not have access to her pension.
Okay.
Her eldest daughter had to drop out of school, to raise her siblings. Right? She's working obviously a job that she probably didn't want to be working, right? She probably had a different career aspirations and her life was completely altered. And Familia's pension just died with her instead of giving it to the eldest daughter. So, I mean, like, we want to talk about, you want to bring her up? Mention that, how the harm that's happened, and mention that she's not only going to get the back pay, but she's going to be getting the health care. She's going to be getting the health care and the benefits going forward to support her siblings. I'm like, that was unnecessary in my opinion. And that is alluding to a fact that it was an assassination attempt. And regardless, in my opinion, it's always going to actually be an assassination attempt, because once you confront police officers armed with the firearm and you decide you're going to start shooting, you don't drop that gun right away. Yeah, 100% it's an assassination attempt. But was it the same as Familia, who was sitting in a THV doing, not harming anyone, and was snuck up from behind and murdered? So that, or was this just boom? They interacted at the wrong time. I thought it was completely unnecessary to honestly piss me off even further. And then looking at Mondani, who's sitting up there like he had one too many, pale as a ghost. I don't know, bro. I don't know. To me, it's disgraceful. And by the way, Mondani's wife was too busy to partake in any of the 250 years of America's July 4th celebration, and she went on a plane to an Islamic retreat. So yeah, that's the first lady of New York City. So it shows you how much respect they have for this country. Shows you how much respect they have for the men and women that actually do this job. This is supposed to be the leader of the city. Look what he looks like.
Yeah. So I'm gonna try and pull up a picture of the truck for Detective Familia. I just want to show you guys, give you a further background on it. See, Detective Familia was assigned to a fixed post. She was assigned to this vehicle itself. So she was in this vehicle, and the perp came up and blasted her through this through the windshield of through the window of the vehicle, right? It was a deliberate assassination. I agree with what you said, John, that, it's always an assassination, but I think there's something about something that's you know, um, you know, incidental as opposed to being planned. Like if you're stopping a perp and he pulls out his firearm, I think there's a level, a level above that when the perp is just walking by and decides, oh, there's cops in the car, I'm going to blast them in the car. And I think that's even more egregious. I mean, if you can say that. And I think if that is the case, you need to let cops know, because remember, this came in the shadow not too long after Detective Lou and Ramos were assassinated themselves in a vehicle. So if this is an assassination attempt, then we need to know about it, because there might be, there might be other attempts forthcoming, especially in light of, you're seeing other assassination attempts in the news media lately. I don't want to bring them all up here, but you all know it. We've all seen some of it happen on live camera. Okay, so this is something that's unfortunately that seems to be happening more as society gets angrier at each other, as we get angry at each other, as we get angry at politicians, and as you see, the public gets angry at cops. So if this is an assassination attempt, we need to know about it, because there are things that we have to plan for this, and we have to take account of the tactics that we used here and correct them, and be prepared for any other events that may unfortunately, fall.
Yeah, no, it's gross, bro. Honestly, totally gross. So, all right, let's go further into the press conference.
Update on a separate shooting that occurred last night in Coney Island. At approximately 10:35 p.m., officers from the 60th Precinct responded to a 911 call for a person shot near Surf Avenue and West 30th Street. When officers arrived, they found multiple victims suffering from gunshot wounds in the front courtyard of 2930 West 30th Street. In total, 8 people were shot, 4 adults and 4 children, ages 6, 7, 12, and 14. The preliminary investigation indicates that a family barbecue was taking place in the courtyard when an unknown male, dressed in all black and wearing a black ski mask, approached the fence line along Surf Avenue and fired multiple rounds into the courtyard. The individual then fled on foot southbound on West 30th Street toward Surf Avenue. There is no indication at this time that there was any argument or altercation at the barbecue before the shooting occurred. Earlier this week, we had a confirmed gang-related homicide that occurred on the same block. We are looking into whether there is a nexus between the two incidents. A Tech 9 style firearm equipped with an extended magazine was recovered on that scene, along with 10 discharged shell casings. 7 of the victims are currently listed as critical condition. This remains, of course, an active investigation, and detectives are working to identify and apprehend the person responsible. I will now turn things over to Mayor Mamdani.
So, all right. One, we didn't even get the full details on the shooting, right? So that's one.
Yeah.
She goes into a mass shooting, completely downplays it, tells you 8 people are shot, 4 of them were kids, right? Completely downplays that thing and then hands it over. So it was like a downplay. And then here's the other thing. Both of these incidents occurred in Brooklyn. Does anyone for one second believe that those were the only shootings and confirmed shots fired and just in Brooklyn that night? Does anyone believe that? Let me know, because I got tons of stuff. I bought a bunch of New York Knicks papers, bringing them back to Florida with me. Gonna mark them up. I'm gonna mark them up extra special for you guys, because anybody believes that, let me know. Because it's absolutely ridiculous. I'm like, what, you want to give us a breakdown? You want to start talking about the other night's events? Tell us how many shootings we had last night. Not last night, but on July 4th into July 5th. Tell us how many shootings you had that night. Tell us how many shootings. How many shootings did you have on July 4th into July 5th? We don't know. We still don't know. I'm hearing from independent reporters 12, and none of them even believe those numbers. None of them. And I'm like, 12 where? In Brooklyn, in the Bronx? Like 12 in each of the boroughs? Like 12 each? Like, what are you talking about? Like, how many shootings occurred throughout New York City? How many were confirmed shots fired? How many people were hit? How many shootings were there? We don't know. And I'm telling you right now, there was a concerted effort on the part of the NYPD and New York City's mayor's office to ensure that those numbers weren't released. You thought those encrypted radios were going to help you? Those encrypted radios ain't going to help you. They're going to ensure that you're going to be out there working extended hours, tired, on details that you shouldn't be on, have all of our experienced investigative units out on the street in uniform instead of working on their jobs that they're doing, and ensuring that public safety is going to continue to get worse. Those encrypted radios aren't helping anybody. I'm positive that there were a lot of shootings that night, and there was a concerted effort here to just wash this under the rug. Like, oh, these were the only 2 incidents. We just had a detective shot and just a mass shooting, and that's it. Let's hear what the boy Wonder has to say. He had a few too many last night, so let's just forgive him. He's probably sad his wife isn't here with him. I'm sorry. I've heard this guy speak a lot. Tell me this guy is not lacking sleep and hurting. I'm sorry.
Look at his eyes. Look at his eyes.
He's pale white, dude. He's pale white in the middle of the summer. I'm not buying it.
Oh, man.
I'm not buying it. And this is the problem. Like, this is the problem, when they say youth is wasted on the young. This is the problem. He's too young and immature to be the mayor. Like, dude, it's 4th of July night. Maybe don't go out there partying with your boyfriends. Like, maybe you take a step back. Maybe you understand that you signed up for this job that's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you put the alcohol down. And that goes for the rest of you in the NYPD. That goes for all of you.
Yeah, Mom Donnie should make a couple phone calls to Eric Adams, At least Eric Adams could go partying the night before and show up and give you a decent press conference,
One of my cousins has a job where he's on call 24/7. And he's like a social drinker, right? Like, he'll drink socially, but when I mean drink socially, he'll have one beer. He'll have one beer. His entire life, he's on call. Like, things happen. He's consistent. I was with him all weekend. All weekend, he was getting calls. He was managing, like, what he had to do. He could have managed the city much better than what we're getting out of NYPD leadership or New York City mayor's office. If you're not on call, enjoy yourself. When you're on call, you got to be in the next day. Act responsibly. I mean, like, this isn't hard, man. Not hard at all. I mean, look at that. That people like, he doesn't care. It's his stone. I'm like, no, he looks hungover to me. Like, I'm sorry. He looks like he had a few too many last night.
Good morning, everyone. As you've heard earlier today, an NYPD officer was struck by gunfire. I'm relieved that the officer, Detective Robert Carroll, was wearing a bulletproof vest and was not seriously injured as a result of it. Detective Carroll serves as part of a unit and is a husband and father of 3 children. The individual with a gun was tased, disarmed, and has been taken into custody. I want to take this moment to express my gratitude that this incident did not hold more grave consequences, and to Detective Carroll and to every officer who has been safeguarding our city over what has been a busy holiday weekend. Detective Carroll and so many others had been working 12-hour shifts since yesterday afternoon, protecting New Yorkers on the 4th of July as we held complex events like Sail 250 alongside our typical annual celebrations. I am thankful for the NYPD's devotion to our city and the sacrifices so many officers make on a regular basis. It is also not lost on me today that, as the commissioner said, we are marking 9 years since Detective Familia was targeted and murdered in a similar fashion. I know there are countless NYPD officers and New Yorkers mourning Detective Familia today, for whom this morning's news is a reminder of the risks that NYPD officers assume each and every day, and how we must still work to lift the scourge of violence from our city. I also want to take a moment to speak on the other violence that we saw this weekend. Last night in Brooklyn, 8 people were shot at a family barbecue, including 4 children. All 4 children are expected to survive. Heartbreakingly, one adult who was shot last night remains in critical condition. There is no place for this kind of violence in our city. We will not tolerate it, and we will fight it with every single tool at our disposal. As we mourn alongside those whose loved ones have been hurt, let us also recommit ourselves to the work of building a city where every celebration is safe and every holiday is joyful. I also want to echo the words of appreciation for the doctors, the nurses, the staff at Kings County Hospital for the care that they have provided to Detective not only today, but the care they've also provided to officers on the other occasions that we have been here for similar reasons. Thank you so much, and I will now pass it over to the president of the Detectives Endowment Association, Scott Monroe.
And so because of this, we want to again get towards that future. So we have to work towards the ultimate goal of abolishing the NYPD, raiding their pension funds, taking away their health care, propping up these community-based organizations like violence intervention groups who are currently making over $100 million a year in taxpayer funds. We have no idea what they did because they obviously didn't prevent this type of violence, and they're not preventing further violence. So, what Mayor Mondani needs to do is increase their funding by 275%, like he said he was going to do. Plus, let's not forget his Department of Community Safety, which is currently operating at a $280 million budget with a staff of 2 people, which will rise over to $1 billion. Department of Community Safety, did they help out on all these events? Did they ensure public safety last night during the 4th of July, during the Knicks riots, during any of the stuff that's been happening throughout the entire beginning of this summer? Of course they didn't. And that's why you guys should never question Mayor Mondani, because he knows what's best. He knows how to achieve public safety. And the other apparatus we need to ensure public safety is we need to close Rikers Island, and we need to let all the prisoners out. And we need to go take a more decarceral approach to policing. So this is your mayor, ladies and gentlemen. This is what it is. This is your mayor because you're apathetic. You don't vote. You don't speak up. You don't push back. You let these idiots that he appointed get up there and lie to your face and tell you garbage about what happened that night. We had a police officer who shouldn't have been out there because he was 10 days away from retirement. He shouldn't even been out there. Forget even just 10 days away from retirement. How about he was a special victims detective? How about what is the rise that we're seeing in New York City crime? Rape. Do you trust that the NYPD is competently responding to and investigating sexual assault cases? I don't think so. How could they be? You have detectives out on the street every day in uniform instead of doing their job. When you look at the special victims unit, it used to be filled with experienced, competent, and talented individuals. Today, special victims division, you know what it is? It's a dumping ground for chief's girlfriends, for their side pieces, for their third side piece, for their fourth side piece. It's rife with nepotism, cronyism, and incompetence. And when you speak to sex victims that supposedly the left cares about, the way that they're treated by this department is an absolute disgrace. And I'm not, and even in past cases too, because it's never been perfect, that unit, and it was working towards getting better. It was working towards it. They've done some great work, but there's a lot more work that they need to do. And currently, instead of getting better, they've gotten a lot worse. So I just want to say that, and by the way, that's not just for special victims. That's for a lot of our major investigative units. Ones where you need skilled and talented people. You have people going into units because, hey, I think it would be cool. With 20 arrests, they have no idea how to even run Sector Adam as a rookie cop, never mind leading a complex investigation. And yet they're going to get put in there, get grade right away when you got a guy like Robert Carroll, who's been in that unit for a very long time, still a third grade detective, probably very competent, very experienced, very talented, and just continues to get brushed over because, it's either diversity, equity, inclusion, or who's banging who.
Yep. Well said. Well said there. A lot to go over. But yeah, John is right. Keep in mind, rapes are up 5.7% and a total of 19.3% since pre-pandemic. Okay. So would it be more, productive for the city to have Detective Carroll be back working his cases before, he leaves, or would it, or to be out on a football say, again, unless he really wanted to do the footballs, okay, I don't think any guy who's about to walk out the door should be put out there in the bag again. Okay. And for you civilians watching, the bag is a phrase we mean for the uniform. Okay. So you shouldn't be wearing that out there. You shouldn't be out there when you're about to walk out the door. You've done your time and it's time to, let's make sure that this guy gets home to his family and has enjoys his retirement, not to be put out in a bag in the middle of a shooting, of a gang beef area in Brooklyn. Okay. In Brooklyn North.
So we got about 1,352 people with us this morning. So for those of you that are new here, we're live in a lot of different places, but our main platform at YouTube is at The Finest Unfiltered. If you want to weigh in on the chat, we got about 300 people currently on YouTube weighing in on their thoughts. Come over to the YouTube channel. Make sure you do us a favor, like, share, subscribe. If you're going to watch it on X or Instagram, do us a favor, make sure you share out the space. Same thing on LinkedIn. We'd appreciate it. We'd like to get a lot of people's thoughts on this because we think that it's important. We're not going to be able to see everybody's statements. So if you want us to ensure that we're highlighted, you could drop a super chat on YouTube and we will always read those out towards the end of the show, answer any questions that you may have. So we appreciate you guys joining us. For those of you listening on audio, do us a favor. If you could subscribe, leave us a 5-star review, and we'd appreciate that just so we could grow this platform. It's been growing and we appreciate it. It's growing because of you. So we appreciate that. So we're talking about an NYPD detective who was shot in the back yesterday. I believe that he was shot in the back twice. He was shot in the back figuratively by New York City Mayor's office and the NYPD leadership. And I also believe that he was, in fact, shot in the back by the NYPD. Now, we're talking about the reasons. We're not holding people accountable. We're not saying that it's because of incompetence of another officer that he was shot in the back. We believe that every member of the NYPD is currently overworked and being abused, and they're expected to make split-second decisions. And when you're tired, your reaction time goes down, your thought process goes down, and it plays in a lot. A lot of the factors that cops have been working with, no days off, extended hours each day, and being asked to do ridiculous things and being shipped all over, and like you're assigned here and then we're moving you here. We think that a lot of that's weighing in on a lot of the incompetence and stuff that we're seeing out in the street, the injuries, the sicknesses. This leads to poor mental health, poor physical health. So we're going through all that. But Marlon brings up a great point. So we know that Detective Carroll was 10 days away from retirement. So there's a couple of things, right? Going towards retirement, traditionally people want to do more overtime, right? Because it'll increase your pension. It's more of a payout for you for the rest of your life. Here's one thing that nobody's going to bring up. It's why do we have a young man who's experienced, who's competent, who understands the type of work that needs to be done in special victims, and we're not trying to retain him. We're letting him run out the door at 20 years. That's one, right? I mean, he's not alone, by the way. There's thousands of us out here now that are young. I run into people every day that I'm like, I can't believe we're not on the job anymore. I can't believe it, because I would have never saw it 5 years ago. I would have thought this dude would have been a chief or an inspector or a first grade detective, and yet I see them doing other jobs, running other businesses, doing podcasts, doing security for corporations, jewelry stores, whatever. You know, I see guys all over the place, you know, doing executive protection. And I'm just like, I can't believe it. Like, I just can't believe it. We're all so young. We shouldn't be gone. And so instead of focusing on like, why is Detective Carroll leaving? And I'll guarantee probably couldn't get promoted. He felt trapped in the position he probably continued to get stepped over. He was probably sick of getting assigned to these details and standing out in uniform and not doing his job, sick of the incompetent leadership. And he was like, I just can't do this anymore. I go to work every day and my stomach's in knots and I never know what each day is going to bring for me. And, you know, I have a wife and 3 kids and I'm just one out the door. Now, and to be fair, I don't know Detective Carroll. I never spoke to him a day in my life. I don't know anyone that even knows him. I'm just saying, I know the feeling. I know what happened to me. I know what happened to Marlon. I know what happened to a lot of other people. Like this, the job is eating its own now. So it's possible that Detective Carroll wanted to do that over time. However, I continuously been hearing from people that are running out the door because, in fact, their stomach is in knots every day going to work because they can't deal with it anymore and they can't take the incompetence at the top and the mistreatment from the top. I continuously hear that they put their papers in for retirement, and in the past, when you put your papers in for retirement, you were allowed to burn all your time, meaning anytime you had accrued, you would burn your time up until then, you'd stay on the books. I continuously hearing that those people are being ordered to do details now. But yet I'm supposed to believe that the NYPD is at the allotted headcount. And again, like I said, if you are at the allotted headcount, then you need a lot more officers. Or you completely have absolutely no idea what you're doing and you burn the books on the last 100 years of what we've been doing in the police department because none of these details are new. I mean, this year's a little bit, there's a lot of different things going on with the Knicks winning the championship, but basically nothing in New York City is new. None of these parades are new. None of these events are new. And we've done them competently in the past with less people. So how can't we do it today? And so I'm saying right now, the elephant in the room is a blatant lie. The manpower is severely understaffed. I said it last show. I said it before this happened. I personally believe if you look at the manpower on patrol, there's about 15,000 people, maybe less, you know, which is insane to think of a city of 12 million people.
Yeah. And we, like John said, we've talked about the manpower before. It shouldn't come as a surprise to the department because even they themselves forecasted, you know, that they'd be short on cops by 2026. You know, we talked about how Adams said this years ago. Okay. So none of this is new, but apparently it seems to be the case that we're still unprepared for it. You know, so you know, neither of us could understand how things have gotten to this far. You know, where a 100-year-plus agency can, you know, all of a sudden all these details and planning for all these details are suddenly new to us. Yeah. Just to go back to that press conference for a quick second, this just came out in the Post, right? They're pointing out how Mamdani misspelled the detective's name in some posts on Twitter. Now, normally this isn't a big deal, right? Not much, but this reminded me that in that press conference, you notice Mamdani to me, he kind of forgot the detective's name a couple times because he just said the detective. Okay.
It's hard to read when you're hungover and you got a headache, bro.
Yeah.
The IV probably didn't kick in yet.
Yeah. Good morning, Stephen S. I saw Stephen S. mentioned, I think it was Stephen S. that said, was it Stephen S? Anyway, I think that I saw somebody in the chat mention that he is a Muslim, that he's supposed to be a Muslim. And I don't know who it is. It may not be Stephen S, but I saw a couple people talking about it. I just want to remind you guys that he's a Muslim when the cameras are there. Okay. All right. He's a TV Muslim. Okay. All right.
Do you think he experimented a little in college with other men?
Well, some of those rap videos are very curious to me. Yeah. If you watch the old rap videos, but you know, he's a TV Muslim. He's there when it's convenient to use, okay, and to exploit his minority points in the Democrat Party, okay. But you think he does that stuff when the cameras aren't there? No, he's a rich, he's a spoiled rich kid who grew up in America. Okay, he's not, you know, he, if you're thinking this guy is a guy who doesn't drink, I got a bridge to, I got some beachfront property in Arizona that you might be interested in.
Yeah, 100%, dude. 100%. All right, let's go back to the press conference because this is where I really got annoyed. And look, I'm going to beat up Scott Monroe right now, and I just want to let you know that I personally think Scott is the better of all the union presidents. I mean, and he's a highlight because one, he shows exactly what union presidents are and what their wants and desires are. But they're just the whole union representation system in the NYPD needs to change. It needs to change immediately. Like, I don't believe any of the union presidents currently there should be union presidents at all. And I don't know the board members, but the fact that it happened under you guys, I feel the same about you. I feel the same about you. The fact that none of you stepped up and tried to unseat these people or called out the bullshit because it is a mafia style. These unions are run like mafia families are run. I think you all just need to be gone. There's just been too much problems there, and there hasn't been enough good stuff coming out of there. Ridiculous endorsements, giving union money to candidates who work directly against the health, well-being, and safety of your members and against public safety, making cops' jobs harder and doing that. And I personally believe you've all done that for personal gain for yourselves, for your family, and for your friends. Every bill that comes out that these guys push, they are a direct benefactor of. And if they're not, it's somebody close to the king that's a direct benefactor of it. And so I'm sick of it. Like, honestly, and I know these guys hate me. The feeling's not mutual. I don't hate you guys back. I just don't like you. I just don't think you're good. You're just not good at your job. If this was a corporate job, you would have been fired 6 years ago. You would have been gone. Now, again, you're a union president. You're the president of the largest municipal detective organization in the world. In fact, the greatest detectives in the world. You show up sunburned. You look like Maya Mandani. Like you unwillingly didn't want to be there. You look like you took a long ride in from out east. Disheveled, polo shirt on, hanging over. 4th of July, bro. You guys are out there. You know what you should have been? Either on the canteen, finding out what the issues are with your members, or fielding phone calls from your board to see what, in fact, you have to do to ensure your ranks are properly filled and to ensure that you're going to keep people in your ranks like Detective Carroll, right? Maybe even reaching out to Detective Carroll prior to him even being assigned there. And again, if in fact he was ordered to do it, that should have been number one on your plate. Why are you ordering this guy to do it? As a matter of fact, why hasn't this guy been promoted? Why is he leaving? Why are we not addressing any of the reasons he's leaving? Hey, Rob, what are you leaving for? Tell us the truth. Tell me the truth. I'm your union president. This isn't going to go to the police commissioner. Why are you leaving? Oh, okay. And now formulate a plan as to why we're going to try to, first of all, you're going to try to retain Robert. You're going to try to see what you could do to retain him. And then you're going to see what you could do to stop guys like Robert from leaving. But instead, we're too busy being out east, right? We're too busy hobnobbing with the Democrats who ultimately want to seek to abolish you. We're too busy trying to play patty cake with the socialists. I don't want to talk about them misusing our pension fund or getting access to our pension fund or misusing our healthcare money. I don't want to talk about that because maybe we might get something good. Or maybe, Scott, you're worried about you might get something good. Let's play this.
Thank you. This has to stop. 3 weeks ago, we had a detective shot in the same hospital. We were in the same hospital. This has to stop. Our members are out there day and night, hours and hours, protecting the people of the city of New York, doing a job that they took an oath to take. And they need to be respected. And thank God this detective is going home. And like I said last time, we're not planning a funeral today, thank God. 9 years ago, we were, though. We need this to stop. We got to respect policing in New York City. You have to respect us. And they have to prosecute this individual. He should not see the light of day. You don't walk up to a police car with a firearm with 4 police officers that worked hours and hours all week long, prior weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and they continue to do the job. This has to stop. Thank you.
Now, if he was just assigned to being the union president and this was his first press conference, I would be like, oh, okay. All right, whatever. He's nervous. What did he say? This has to stop 3 times. What has to stop, Scott? How are we stopping it? The people that you're standing next to, the guy to your right there, wants to get rid of your department. He doesn't respect the work that your members do. He wants access to their pension fund, and the access that he's requesting to the pension fund has bellied up every other pension fund in history throughout every other city and state, and yet you want to play patty cake with him. He alludes to the fact that his members are out there tired, overworked, and it's been happening for weeks and weeks and weeks, but yet hasn't called out the fact that there needs to be more people there. There needs to be more cops. We need to retain experienced cops, and we need to be able to recruit quality cops. And we have to ensure that in the rank of detective, you're getting quality people. Competency should be the reward, not diversity, equity, inclusion, not who some chief is banging and wants to put there, or who some chief knocked up and he's rewarding so that, you know, his wife and the kids doesn't find out about his other kid that he's about to have. And currently, that's not the case. Currently, you know, the best way to become a detective in the NYPD today is the casting couch. Going out there and arresting people is for suckers. You know when Sonny said in the Bronx Tale, the working man's a sucker? He must have been talking about the NYPD.
Yeah, he doesn't care about any of that. He doesn't care about competency. If he cared about that, he would have, you know, he'd be still fighting to get all those detectives who retired early or like me were forced out the job during the scamdemic. You know, and I know of some other detectives who had much more time on than I did, who had close to 30 years, who didn't want to go either. Okay, these were guys who you know, were experienced guys from the squad who did not want to go, but they did not want to take the shot and thus had to put in their papers. So if he actually cared about that experience or competency, he'd still be fine for us. But to this point, he's said nothing about it. Okay. And as we watch him, as we saw him there, I want you to recall the press conference from June 19th. If you could recall, that's when Detective Gale from ESU was shot during as ESU made entry in a Brooklyn apartment. So keep in mind now, Scott didn't show up for this one. You see, he was not there on this one. But later on, Scott gives a statement, right? And I find it interesting that his statement back then was a lot more confident, a lot more detailed than what you see there. Okay.
I'm glad that we're not planning any type of funeral for a detective today or any police officer at any cost. You know, it's a shame, you know, what goes on here in New York City. We have detectives, men and women that work hard every day. They save lives today. They went in there, saved lives today, and one of our detectives was shot in the leg. Thank God we're not planning a funeral today. That's all I say. We need the people of the city of New York to believe in policing. That's what's going on today. We need that. It's so important that happens. So look what happened today. Our men and women who've been working days on with everything going on in New York City, they're out here protecting the lives of the city of New York, and they saved lives today. And unfortunately, one of our members was shot in the leg. I'm glad that we're not.
This needs to stop, Marlon. I mean, like, dude, it's literally like plug and play. Like, yeah, I gotta leave. I gotta go to this fucking press conference. And he's showing, yeah, it's gotta stop. Yeah, they're working a lot. Yeah. And like, I just want to say, like, you're an NYPD detective. I don't think Scott's a great representative of you. I'm just gonna be honest. I think that there's guys that have their shit a lot more together than Scott does. That could represent the department more professionally in a better manner, represent working detectives, and actually put solutions together. Now, could they solve everything? Absolutely not. I mean, you're basically fighting against the tide, but this is who's representing you. These are the guys representing you, and you're worried and you're questioning why nothing gets done and why every day you go to work, your job just gets harder, and why every day at work you just get treated like shit, and why every day you go to work and it's like, yeah, just take it in the face, kid. Don't worry about it. Yeah. So yeah, sorry, kid, you've been shot. That's what we basically titled the thumbnail of this. Yeah. Sorry, kid, you've been shot. Yeah, sorry, kid. You got to work, right, 10 days before your retirement. Yeah, sorry, kid. We're just going to torch change you. Yeah, sorry, kid. You've been working 7 days for the last 2 months. You're tired. You're exhausted. You haven't seen your family, your friends, your kids. You're never around. You're starting to deteriorate mentally and physically. Yeah, sorry, kid. Oh, and then you get injured or you get sick, and the department's treating you like absolute garbage, violating your contract, doing all of this stuff to you. Yeah, sorry, kid. Nothing we could do. It is what it is. Yeah, don't worry. We're going to work with them. We're going to see if we get something good, maybe like a raise or something. These are your representatives, people. And for those of you in the public, I saw so many people cheering that last press conference on, the one that we played prior to just now what Marlon put on. And I'm like, are you serious? Did you watch the same thing I watched? Am I crazy? Maybe I'm delusional, but what I watched was disgraceful. It was infuriating. Should be infuriating to every member of the New York City Police Department, not just detectives. I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know. We're living in two different realities today in the world.
Yeah, and let me just go back to that. I want to let you guys know, okay? So if you just happen to tune in and catch that video that I just showed you was not at the June 19 press conference. Scott didn't show up for that one. He later on showed up at the hospital
10 hours later.
And
10 hours later and put a fake press conference together, pretending like he was actually standing up there. And on that one, too, you had the same cucks going out like, oh, this is the type of representation we need. And I'm like, are you out of your mind? Are you out of your mind?
Yep. And to John's point, this was a statement released by the SBA. See, the problem is that you guys keep reelecting these guys, okay? You guys keep voting for it. So again, if you're watching this and you're appalled by Scott, right? Well, guess what? When election comes around again, are you going to vote for him? You probably will vote for him again, okay? Or in this case, you voted for Vinny again, okay? So what impetus do they have to be better representatives of you who pay him to be there and to represent you and represent your interests, as the city clearly ignores it?
It's dude, really, really wild. All right, let's go a little further. I'm like, I don't know, that was disgraceful. And by the way, Scott, I'm very well aware that every orientation members are told, don't listen to that fake news podcast. Guess what, bro? They were already listening to it. They're going to continue to listen to it. And you doing that is only helping promote the show. So we appreciate it, Scott. Not mad about it whatsoever.
Is it coming on?
Oh, sorry. I thought I had it up.
Yeah.
We're not identifying him at this time. One officer was shot in his bulletproof vest. Another officer was injured with a contusion to her face and her shoulder. She is here at this time.
We're going to move on to the ABC shot. Commissioner, you mentioned the gunman, 18-year-old that approach. Any idea idea why these guys have been running from somewhere? Did you
No.
approach that car specifically?
As I mentioned, everything that I just briefed is preliminary and is subject to change. And what
Because
makes
it's all lies.
this briefing different from similar ones that we've unfortunately had to do in recent weeks and months is that this incident was not captured on body worn camera. So we are in the midst of a massive camera canvas going around to local businesses to pull footage so that we can get a better sense of exactly what happened, particularly during his approach to the vehicle that the officers were in. But we can say that we recovered a gun on him.
So I mean, look, the questions all like I don't even think that was a good question there. I don't know. Maybe the press was all hungover from the 4th of July as well.
Yeah.
So, but like the whole thing, this wasn't captured on body camera. Lie. You know, whether it was the beginning or the end. You know, and Nolan said it here. He said the body camera that comes on after is not going to look good for the department, and I totally agree. That's why they're telling you there's no body camera. They do not want to show the aftermath of what happened when those body cameras got turned on. I personally believe you listen to her. She stated it here. The officer was shot in the back by friendly fire. That's what I believe. That's my opinion. I have no evidence of that is the case, but that's what I believe. Was he shot in the back outside the vehicle or inside the vehicle? Those are the things I'm weighing in my mind right now because I don't know. I don't know if that kid started shooting into the car and he was sitting in the front seat and the person behind him shot him. Reacted. And again, these are things that happen with the lack of training, the lack of sleep, and cops being out there not properly prepared, being sent all over, no clear mission. They don't know what they're doing. They're exhausted. And things like this are happening and they continue to happen and they'll continue to happen and it'll continue to get worse. Public safety will continue to diminish, you know, and like, I was laughing my ass off the day before 4th of July that the department's putting out how much history they made in crime fighting. We've broken history. Like, well, maybe you broke history in recorded crime statistics, but in actual reality, crime hasn't changed at all. Violent crimes up over 30% since 2019. So maybe in your ComStat world, you want to play ComStat magic. Yeah, no, we're doing great. Well, doesn't look like you're doing too great to me. You could change numbers, but you can't change reality. You know, you could not tell us about all the shootings that occurred on July 4th and into July 5th. You could not tell us about all that. You could hide those facts. You could not document all those things, but that doesn't mean that that's reality.
Yeah, bro. The media is so bad, you know. I'm like, can somebody ask a good question? I mean, what you're saying, the detective got shot in his vest. Okay, so what are you saying? The perp shot him in the vest? I mean, what's going on? Give us some details, you know. The media needs to ask some follow-up questions that are pertinent to what she just said. Okay, were you guys sitting there and watching this press conference? You know, I just don't understand it, bro. You know, I'm like, you know, she made plenty of allusions to Detective Familia. Okay. And now you're telling me the detective was shot in the vest. Okay. Are you so what are you saying here? Give me come on.
Exclusive video shows
Come
what
out and tell
appears
me
to be
what you're
the
saying.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to put the volume on that one.
No worries. Before you go, that's the perp you're watching, guys, right? And remember what I always say for you civilians out there. This is something all cops know. But if you see a perp, if you see someone dressed like a ninja, you better you better take caution, okay, or get away from the area, okay. When they're dressed like a ninja, that means things about to go down, okay.
Yeah, no, it's wild, dude. You know, the other thing that we didn't speak about in the prior episodes is the law that now law enforcement in New York, all law enforcement, it was really a result of ICE, cannot wear masks on duty or during law enforcement actions. But I'm walking around New York City and I see 5, 6, 7 guys walking around masked up in 90-degree weather, and they're allowed to do that. You're allowed to gather with masks on, and like, I don't feel comfortable. I'm instantly, my wife's talking to me, my kid's talking to me. I'm not even hearing it. I'm like, zoop. I get crazy tunnel vision when I see that. You know, I get ready for something bad to happen. And to me, everybody does. It's wild, dude. I went to a jewelry store the other day. I'm a big fan of the Tudor watches. So I was looking at getting a Tudor watch, and, you know, and I was talking to the lady, and, you know, they had a nice establishment, and they had a secure area, and a really nice high end. And we were talking about, she had used to work in a mall in a different location. And she was saying how she was getting really uncomfortable working there because all these kids would come in packs, and she didn't feel safe. And they'd come in, and she just felt like she was going to get robbed there or held up. And it's the same feeling that people have on the street. So, but don't worry, you should feel safe knowing that law enforcement officers who probably work undercover, you know, I can't do that anymore. It's illegal for them to do it, but these people feel fine to do it. So here he is, right here. Here's the perpetrator. I'm gonna slow this down. Hold on. Let me slow this down. How do I do this? Playback speed. All right, let's go real slow. All right. So he appears to be on something to me. I don't know what it is. I don't know if he's hammered and drunk, or if he's buying all of this legal and safe marijuana, or what he's doing, but he's on something. If you watch what's happening here, he's not in his right state of mind. Drops the magazine to the floor right here, picks it up, looks like he doesn't know what he's doing. He's putting the gun in as he's hunched over and bent down. That is somebody in an altered state. He drops the magazine again, going to put it in. He doesn't even have the reflexes or the coordination to chamber that magazine, to put that magazine into battery. And then I don't know I haven't seen if he actually chambers around or not. Yeah, it looks like he chambers it right here. Like he gets the magazine in, and then he chambers the round right there. So he gets the gun working, so he's familiar with the gun, but he can't get it together. And then look what he does. He puts the gun down. Like, it's really, really strange what he's doing. So right there, that black car with the headlights on, that's where the officers are sitting. So that's the video right there. So I honestly, at this point, it proves to me that this was a friendly fire shooting, and the officer was in fact shot in the back by an officer. Unless for some crazy reason, when this kid fires, the bullet ricocheted and bounced back and then hit him in the vest. I don't think that happens, though. So here he is. He's walking. He's walking with the gun. He's walking with the gun. So he walks away in the opposite direction. Now he walks back where the cop car is. Now the gun's round. He's got the chamber in it. Too slow. Hold on. I'm speeding this up. I'm speeding up. He's walking up. They cut the video. We can't see the interaction. They cut the video. Oh, actually, I take that back.
You can
dude.
see the cop jumping out. Yeah. But you don't see what's happening on the other side of the vehicle, which is odd, you know?
They cut it.
Yeah.
So I take it back, dude. He could have got, maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's not friendly fire. I don't know. I take it back. But it looks like the perp's over there when the shots get fired.
Well,
Because see how he gets out and he's looking?
well, keep in mind the idea that it's friendly fire. It's not us coming up with it, okay? But the thing is, there are a lot of questions that need to be answered here. Is this an assassination or is it not? One PP needs to be forthright with us instead of dancing around the issue and letting our minds fill in the blank here. Because again, if this is an assassination attempt, we have to be aware that there could be copycats and there could be other people who are going to express their rage at society and NYPD and police in general this way. How many videos have you seen over this weekend of cops fighting with large crowds? There's one in North Carolina, you know, where cops are where the perp is actually, it looks like he's putting the female officer in a headlock. Okay, you're seeing a lot of anger towards law enforcement. So if this was an assassination attempt, 1PP needs to let us know instead of dancing around the issue. Did the perp fire into the vehicle? Did he shoot the detective in the back? What exactly happened here?
Yeah. So if you see right here, he's got the gun. Now he lifts his shirt up. It looks like to put it away. And he's walking past the car, and the car's faced actually in the opposite direction. So, but then the video cuts, right? And you see one of the detectives jump out of the vehicle, take cover to the back of the car, and then he goes and gets cover back here. He runs back here. I want to hear those radio transmissions. That is very weird. That is very strange. So to me, it looks like he walked past the car and then they hopped out on him, or they tried to hop out on him. They seen him acting squirrely with the gun. You could just tell he had a gun. Maybe there was a prior job, shots fired, and this kid fit the description and it just came over the radio, and then boom, a gun battle ensues. So I don't know if this is Detective Carroll or not, or if Detective Carroll's still in the car. I only see him exit the vehicle, and I can't tell if that's the rear door or the passenger door. And then they zoom out. I wish they would have just showed the whole thing. So a lot of questions here.
Yeah, it's hard to tell from the image whether he's exiting the vehicle from the rear or the front passenger side. And again, I don't see much activity happening on the driver's side either. So it's, a lot of, like I said, there's a lot missing from this, and they need to come on out and let us know what exactly happened. Because if the perp is walking, southbound on Nostrand, and he walks past the vehicle, because obviously he would have had to run past the vehicle if he was caught on 3 blocks south and 1 block west. So how did he shoot the detective in the back if he's walking on the passenger side and he, the point is there are lots of questions from this, and we're not getting clear answers on it.
Yeah. And there's 100% the body cam video, even if it didn't get the gunfire exchange, the aftermath of that body camera video will dispel a lot of the theories and whatever happened there. It'll basically tell the story about what happened, and they already know what happened. The job already knows what happened. They've done a thorough review already. Firearms Investigation Division, who goes out immediately, knows what happened, and obviously, the NYPD has painted this as an assassination attempt. Now, again, obviously, that is a dangerous armed criminal, not in his right state of mind. So I'm not questioning the shooting at all. We're just saying, what was the intent? Was the intent he was going to shoot someone else? How did that exchange happen? Why did that exchange happen? Was it the perp's bullet who struck the officer? And I think when you watch that press conference, you clearly hear it wasn't. That's what I heard from that press conference. I didn't hear anything else. I heard that was a friendly fire situation and nobody talked. Everything's going to get brushed over about these cops are out there overworked in an area they shouldn't have been in. And more than likely, you got a guy who was 10 days away from retirement, did not want to be there, was more than likely ordered to be there, and almost got his head blown off as a result of sheer incompetence by New York City officials. And that's just how I see it. I don't care how friendly the news media comes out. And then I watch that press conference and I just see a disgrace of New York City leadership. They all look hungover. They all look unprepared. They all look like they don't want to be there.
Yeah. So morning to those of you just joining us this morning. We got a huge audience watching us today, but we'd appreciate you guys. We appreciate you guys, and we'd appreciate if you can smash that like button and share us out so we could get ahead of those algorithms. And, Chef Macari is cooking today, and he's bringing up some great points about what's going on today. So If you appreciate Chef Macari, just smash that like button for us, all right?
Oh man, I'm getting old looking, bro. Damn.
You still look like Pitbull. Every time I ask it to make a picture out of you, it makes it
Yeah.
look like Pitbull.
Well, for a long time, AI always made me black. Like I could never, it would never make me like as I was like, I was like, but I don't look like, I don't have a like, you know, it was super funny. Like anytime like anyone made it, they're like, dude, you always come out black. I was like, yeah, I don't know. But appreciate everybody for joining tomorrow. If you haven't, do us a favor, like, share, subscribe. We got about 1,800 people, 1,900 people with us this morning. Appreciate you guys. Right now, it's a time from a message from our partners over at Kalshi. The 2026 primaries are taking shape, and you can trade the biggest political races on Kalshi. On Kalshi, you can trade major primary election outcomes and the biggest political storylines as they happen. Will NYPD Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch leave her role as police commissioner before January 1st, 2027? Right now, her leaving is currently trading at 21%, meaning a $100 trade would pay out $238 if, in fact, Tisch leaves prior to January 1st, 2027. On Kalshi, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use code FINEST to get $10 when you trade 10. KALSHI, Kalshi. Trade on anything. 18 plus only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see kalshi.com/regulatory. All right, people, back to our regularly scheduled program. We were just talking about the shooting of NYPD Detective Robert Carroll in the wee hour morning of July 5th, following him being assigned to the SAIL 250 detail, which was a detail that was there to provide security for people watching all of the ships that were coming into New York Harbor. Marlon, do you have anything else on that? You know, we opened up by saying, and I think that we opened up by saying that basically we believe that Robert Carroll, like the rest of the NYPD, was already and currently and continues to be shot in the back by New York City government and by appointed NYPD officials figuratively. But we also believe, based upon everything that we witnessed, listening to what's came out since, looking at the media reports and the press conference where the mayor and the police commissioner spoke, we believe that in fact he was shot in the back in reality as well by the NYPD. Now, we're not holding the officers accountable. We understand those are dynamic situations. What we're saying is that these cops are overworked. The NYPD is understaffed. Nobody's talking about it. It's the elephant in the room. The only place you're going to hear about it is right here on the Finest Unfiltered. Appreciate you guys for joining us. Marlon, you got anything else on this before we go on to the next topic?
Yeah, you know, when I see this, like I said, that there's a lot of details missing from this, and to me, it seems as though the city, you know, Tisch is asking you to fill in the details. You know, I can't help but think of, you know, this incident and the press conference that followed it, where again, Tisch, you know, they alluded to certain things, but they weren't forthright with the actual details, you know, of what actually happened. Instead, they let us fill in the blanks, and they, you know, and the media filled in the blanks, all right, and they made Chief Edwards out to be a hero, as though they actually stopped a terrorist attack. And that's because, and the city, Tisch, you know, never told them, hey, listen, the city was never forthright with all the failures that happened that day. So when I see this press conference and I see them leaving out the details, I can't help but think about this, and can't help but think that they want the media again to run with their own spin and narrative on this and fill in the blanks, so that the job doesn't have to tell them any possible tactical failures, and certainly the failure of you know, not having, you know, of properly planning these events and having these events properly staffed. It prevents the media from asking those questions, which would embarrass Tisch. And one thing we know about Tisch is that she's really good at perception management, and she's really, you know, she has a handle on the media, and cause them to alter their stories. So I can't help again but think that we're seeing another instance of perception management, and we may find out the truth later on, but by then it will have left in media news cycle, and it'll be on the back page of the post or whatever, and or like a 2-minute news blurb, and forgotten about. Okay, so I again, if this was the case of the perp trying to kill the cops, you need to let us know. Okay, you need to they need to be honest with us and let us know what actually happened here.
No, I totally agree. And former New York City councilman, Democrat, a lot of people will take issue with that. They'll say he's not a Democrat, but conservative Democrat, former New York City councilman Bob Holden, he weighed in us on X as well. He reshared the New York Post, a New York Post X post, and he said, if Mondani and the police commissioner insist the NYPD is fully staffed and never needed the additional 5,000 plus officers. I believe that's a typo. I believe he's talking about the 500 plus officers that they were supposed to raise the head count by. Mm-hmm. Then how does a special victims detective with just 10 days away from retirement end up working a 4 a.m. mobile detail in Brooklyn? I'm grateful the detective is expected to make a full recovery, but this raises a serious question that no one seems to be willing to ask the department. New Yorkers are no longer buying the gaslighting. And that's exactly what it is. You know what I mean? It's come on. You're continuously telling us crime's down. You're continuously telling us everything's okay in the department. But anyone that knows any rank and file officer knows they have an exit plan, knows that they're miserable, knows that they're talking about the incompetence and mismanagement, not only coming out of the mayor's office, but coming out of One Police Plaza. It's always been called Puzzle Palace, but now it looks like it's on a whole new level. It looks like it's on an absolutely whole new level. And, look, there hasn't been real unity in the police department. And I think, we talk about them being demoralized, but I don't think it's ever been lower than this point currently. So it really is. It's a damn shame. Just with so many different things coming out on that front. And then as you're being told crime's down, what do we learn this weekend? The same thing that, and by the way, well, let me get to first is that what do we learn is that there was actually a mass shooting in New York City, which was also completely downplayed, right? And nobody's really going into that either. Like no one's going into the fact that there were children amongst 8 people shot, 4 children shot in Coney Island in Brooklyn on 4th of July as well, outside of a barbecue. Look, New York City is always a crazy place, but 8 children shot. 8 people shot in one incident. And just for you guys, so you guys are aware, this is going to be counted as one incident. This isn't going to be counted as 8 separate shootings, which it should be. This is going to be counted as one incident. Oh no, we just had one mass shooting and we just had a cop shot in the back. No big deal. You don't need to know about the rest of the crime. This news report comes out of WPIX 11.
Families shaken and investigators searching for answers after several children were shot. PIX 11's Corey McGinnis with more on the shooting and the growing concern in the community.
Good evening. Devastating situation. The residents I spoke with say the victims are all part of the same family, and they're not sure how this all unfolded. Meantime, NYPD detectives are still working to gather information, still trying to find a motive.
There was blood everywhere.
Residents described the frightening scene on Coney Island, Brooklyn on the 4th of July. Police say 8 people were shot during a gathering near the boardwalk, and 4 of the victims were children, ages 6 to 14. A 21-year-old woman is in critical condition, while the others are expected to survive.
Bullets, it was just sad. They still got food out there.
Investigators say a gunman opened fire into the courtyard where a family barbecue was taking place. A firearm was recovered at the scene, but so far, no arrests have been made.
An unknown male dressed in all black and wearing a black ski mask approached the fence line along Surf Avenue and fired multiple rounds into the courtyard. The individual then fled on foot.
Police are still trying to figure out the motive and whether it's connected to another prior incident.
Earlier this week, we had a confirmed gang-related homicide that occurred on the same block. We are looking into whether there is a nexus between the two incidents.
Terrence Rice is the director of Operation Helping Our Own Develop, also known as Operation Hood. He says the group is focused on being a visible support system in the community, and in this case, the family.
We're letting them know that we're here to support them and whatever support they may need, whatever that looks like.
The members gathered near the scene, raising awareness. Latest NYPD data shows overall crime in the city down, with major crime falling citywide compared with last year. Some Coney Island residents say the shooter is not reflective on the neighborhood itself.
The neighborhood is good, but the people are bad.
There is no place for this kind of violence in our city. We will not tolerate it, and we will fight it with every single tool at our disposal.
Meantime, residents say the violence was especially painful because it happened on a day that should have been about family.
It was 4th of July. Everybody should be out with their family. It's just sad. It's heartbreaking.
That organization, Operation Hood, they plan to hold a press conference Monday at 4 o'clock. They also say elected officials will be at that press conference. Meantime, if you have any information that can aid in this case, you're encouraged to call the police. This is an ongoing investigation. Reporting in Coney Island, Brooklyn, Corey McGinnis, Pix 11 News.
So, I mean, obviously, when I watch this, you know me, like I'm just super focused on the hundreds of millions of dollars we're spending towards these violence interrupter programs. And I'm like, well, where were they? They didn't interrupt any violence. They didn't stop a mass shooting. They had no intel about a mass shooting. And then what are they doing to prevent further violence? And you could clearly see they're doing absolutely nothing to do it. What's their thing? All right, shooting happened. All right, let's go earn our money. Let's go show New York City what we do. We come out here with our taxpayer-funded T-shirts. We go stand on the corner to raise awareness about a national incident that was already viral. We don't need you. We don't need to pay $100 million for you to help us, to get former gangbangers and former prisoners to tell us to help raise awareness that everyone's already aware about. We don't need you standing on the corner doing nothing. And then what are they going to do? They're going to hold a press conference with elected officials, and that's where we're going to take $100 million and raise it 275% to do this. And this is the exact model of what the Department of Community Safety is going to look like as well. It's just going to be hundreds of millions of dollars to nowhere. Who hired these guys? How much do they make? What do they do? How effective is it? And the answer is, we have no idea. No one knows. It's shrouded in mystery. And the things we know about these programs is that most of these guys keep getting locked up for selling drugs, dealing guns, and being involved in violent crime. So what are we doing here? Like, what is this? Like, when I watch this makes me even more mad. I'm like, why is my tax dollars going to fund this? Why are my tax dollars going to fund this and not having more cops on the street? Maybe if we had more cops on the street, somebody wouldn't have felt comfortable to go walk up to a fence and start shooting into a crowd of families, aiming at kids, hitting 4 kids, a 6-year-old, like an animal.
So here it is now. I'm going to put up the info. Operation Hood. This is that group of violence interrupters we just saw, right? Operation Hood, their budget is $1.8 million annually, right? $1.8 million. Now they also receive line item grants from the city of $125,000 for youth sports and $50,000 for additional funding. It doesn't actually say why, but I want to know what exactly does $1.8 million get us? You know, what does that get the taxpayer? Because when I see them, the news is saying they showed up to lend support. I see them hanging out on a corner there. Okay, I don't see what support are they supposed to give? Aren't they supposed to be there to help prevent these incidents from happening in the first place? Like, what? I just don't get it. Again, these groups have no metrics to measure their success or failures. There's like no accountability for it. You know, it it doesn't make any sense. At the same time as the city is asking for more accountability for cops, there's no accountability for these groups. And you want to know what your tax dollars is also buying, John? It's also being bought. It's also being spent on Xboxes and pool tables and art supplies. Yeah, that's wonderful.
Like, I got no problem with people wanting to help out their community, and I got no problem with you wanting to reform your life. We don't have to pay you to do that. Go get your ass a job and do it. Like some of these guys are making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, and we don't even know what they're doing. And what I kept asking, Marlon got fired. I got forced out for not taking a COVID vaccine. I'm like, well, these guys are getting taxpayer dollars. Are they required? Are they required to take a COVID vaccine? Oh, no, of course not, because they're actually fighting crime. I'm like, there's no rules. We don't know what it is. We don't know how people are hired. It's literally graft in its earliest form. It's like, nah, I'm just going to hire my friends, and I want to make sure they get a salary and healthcare and all this stuff. And we're going to take it right from taxpayer coffer, and we're going to talk public safety. And we're going to call these things, like when the lefties talk about this, the Democrats, Joe Biden talked about this. Eric Adams talked about this. Bill de Blasio talked about this. Mondani's talked about this. Almost all of the city council have talked about this. How these are evidence-based public safety strategies, how they work. The comptroller of New York City, Brad Lander, put out a report saying that these groups helped keep violence down across New York City, and then went on to further state that, but there's really no metrics. There's no data tracking. There's no anything to prove what's happening or not happening, but yet he attributes the decrease in crime to the violence interrupter group. How are you doing that when you're clearly saying there's no data? So when crime goes down, we give kudos to the violence intervention groups. And when crime goes up, we blame the New York City Police Department. How about when crime happens, what the hell are these violence intervention groups doing? They didn't help out during the Knicks games. They didn't help out during the 4th of July. They're not helping out in the aftermath of the 4th of July. What in fact are they doing? What do they do? Do the youth actually listen to these kids? Do the youth gangs and youth crews in these neighborhoods actually listen to these guys on the street? I say that they don't. I don't think the same way. I don't think that I'm going to be able to get through to a lot of these kids. I don't think these guys are getting through to a lot of these kids either. Sorry. Looks like a grift to me. Looks like a waste of taxpayer money, in my opinion. Unless we start seeing some metrics for success, I'm going to continue to say it. Unless we see some data about what they actually do, we know what hours we work, we know what they're getting paid for. I'm saying the same thing. It looks like a waste.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And keep in mind also that there was a recent takedown in that area, right? 15 charged from a Brooklyn gang takedown in coordination with the Brooklyn DA's office. Apparently there's been back and forth over there between gangs.
Dude, we just got ripped off of YouTube.
What?
We just got ripped off of YouTube. Community guidelines violation.
Ridiculous.
Content featuring firearms.
Yeah. Wow.
Content that shows someone live streaming while holding, handling, or transporting a firearm isn't allowed on YouTube.
Yeah.
What a joke, dude. What an absolute joke.
Yeah. How is that possible when there's news footage of that same incident happening on YouTube right now?
That was news footage that I showed.
Yeah, from YouTube. Yeah. Is always the case when YouTube sees us bringing up points that are harmful, really harmful to the city, right? Every time YouTube comes down and removes us from a live stream.
Unbelievable, dude.
Yeah,
unbelievable. Well, whatever. We still got 1,900 people with us here this morning, so ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. Whatever. Yeah. We'll X out that part and then we'll upload that back to YouTube later. So it is what it is. You know, we'll keep rocking and rolling. I'm sorry, Marlon. What were you talking about before we did that?
No, I was just bringing up that there was a recent gang takedown in that area, you know, and there's been ongoing beef over there and shootings. And if the budget for Operation Hood is $1.8 million a year, what exactly do we get from that $1.8 million? Because again, if they were actually, you know, making a dent in the issues that they're paid for, then you wouldn't have been seeing issues like this. You wouldn't have been seeing incidents like this, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, totally agree there. Totally. It's sick to think, bro. It really is. It's absolutely sick to think.
Yeah.
Um,
Before you go on, John, those of you watching, if you know of somebody else who's trying to get on now and watch us in YouTube, tell them to go to X and watch us. You can also go to Rumble and watch us, and Facebook. But as John said just now, we're down on YouTube right now. But just refer them to those other streams in order to catch us live right now. Thank you.
Yeah, the other thing that I was shocked to find out is that, and I was like, what are we even doing? Like, the other thing I was shocked to find out, like that same night, is like that the department's actually still doing confiscations. This is coming out of the 123 precinct in Staten Island. And I saw other precincts, not just Staten Island. I saw some Queens precincts doing confiscations as well. And I'm like, why are you doing confiscations in Staten Island and in Queens, but you're not doing it in the Bronx and Brooklyn? Like, what do you think that's about, dude? Like, do you think it's just like, is it different? Like, we're gonna police different neighborhoods differently? Like, what is that? Like, you know, when we traditionally, like, Staten Island was always ground zero for fireworks, but when the NYPD was doing confiscations, like when I got promoted and went to Brooklyn, it was the same thing. We were still doing confiscations. Like, why would we do it in Staten Island but not do it in the Bronx and Brooklyn?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
what do you think about that?
Low-hanging fruit enforcement, you know? Again, Staten Island is the most pro-cop region of the city, okay? So it's much easier to conduct enforcement of things like this over there as opposed to, say, Brownsville in Brooklyn, or say other parts of the city, the South Bronx, where, you know, good luck confiscating this. You know, you're gonna need a mobilization, certainly a large contingent of cops in order to do it over there. So it's easier to show up in Staten Island and tell them that they listen, those are illegal. You know, I think you're more than likely gonna get more compliance over there than you would in the other parts of the city that are more confrontational and more tensions tend to be a little higher, and they just don't have the same pro cop feelings that Staten Island tends to. But I talked about this. I was talking about this to John offline, that I heard fireworks like the past 2 days nonstop in my area. So I made a comment on Twitter about it too, wondering if we actually still do enforcement of fireworks, because it didn't seem like it in my neighborhood, you know? So
Hold on, I'm just appealing this to right now.
yeah. Yeah, the thing is, anytime we have a good show where we're bringing up points that are that hurts the agenda, that hurts Mamdani or Tish, you know, we get that. It's just them finding an excuse to take the stream down, you know?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So they'll get back to us in 72 hours. So we're not going back up today on YouTube. Yeah. So we got about 2,000 people with us already anyway. 2,000 people on X. We got we're up on Facebook as well. We're up on LinkedIn as well. We are up on Instagram. The issue with Instagram is that we can't see the comments. That's the only thing. So Instagram, we see Facebook comments, we see X comments, we don't see the rest of the comments. So yeah, apologize. A lot of comments in here today. So is what it is. You know, nothing we could really do about it. You know, that is just the game. You know what I mean? The clip that we showed was from it was from a news clip. So I don't understand. Like it's on YouTube. So I don't understand why why we got taken down. But it is what it is. Other thing that happened, and this is like coming out of the New York Post, all that stuff, all on YouTube. So I'm not sure what the hell that was about. Other thing, that same night there was a lot of protesting going on throughout New York City, and you know, you see the same actors over and over again. Did you see Relly Rel like chanting like "Death to America" and all this other stuff that evening? There was a lot of anti-American protests that same night. And it was funny. Like I was talking to my family about it and I was like, yeah, it's always the same actors. They never talk about it. Like, look, he is Relly Rel right here. Hold on. Let me get this up.
If you guys can recall, Relly Rel.
Death to the USA! Death to the USA!
Right there in the center.
Death to the USA! Death to the USA! Death to the USA! Death to the USA! That's right!
Fuck America! Fuck this genocidal, homicidal piece of shit country! We're not free till everybody is free! Fuck the board! And my pussy stink!
Happy birthday, fuck you!
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 All right, come on, let's go. Abolition!
Feed the people, fight the power, fuck the police!
Abolition!
Feed the people, fight the power, fuck the police!
Abolition!
Feed the people, fight the power, fuck the police! Abolition! Feed the people, fight the power, fuck the police!
Abolition!
Feed the people, fight the power, fuck the police!
So you guys may recall Relly Rel. He's at every protest. He wears every flag. He's basically like a billboard advertisement for any protest, any leftist movement across the country, across anywhere. Like it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's anti-ICE, whether it's Black Lives Matter. He's a pro-Palestinian one day. He's supporting gay rights the next day. He's supporting trans rights the day after that. I mean, like he looks like a guy, like I don't know what he does for a living. He looks like a guy, like it looks like they're organizing. Looks like he's getting paid to do what he does to me. I don't understand how this guy's been doing it. Somebody that I've interacted with several times as a uniformed officer, couldn't stand him, thought he was such a loser, complete coward, definitely skipped legs day. You know, he'll be real tough. He's real tough when people are afraid of him because he's big and tall. But definitely pick this dude up over your head. Not anybody you should be intimidated by. My opinion, he appears to be a paid actor.
Yeah, he absolutely is, and he isn't making. Doesn't seem like he's making a lot off of these protests. You know, he isn't stepping up his game like Hawk Newsom. You know, at least Hawk is like you know, he's wearing some fancy shoes and a nice leather coat, and he stepped up his game. You know, but Relly Rel's still looking like he isn't making much money off of this gig. But yeah, like John says, this is the guy. You've seen him before because we've talked about him before. And he makes a living out of protesting for any cause, you know? You have to wonder who exactly is paying this guy. And like, you know, see, this is him again. Yeah. One day he's protesting against Adams. The other day he's pro-Palestine. The next day he's, you know, he depends where the wind is blowing today and where the money is coming from.
Yeah, I don't remember what they were protesting, but they were protesting once. He was protesting and he ripped what's it called? He ripped like the windshield wiper off of a car, off of RMP, off of a NYPD car. And I'm like, what the hell is that, dude? And it was like a video that hadn't went viral. And I'm like, everyone's like, oh, don't share that. I'm like, no, I'm sharing that. This dude needs to get arrested. Like that's not how we act in society. Like nobody should feel comfortable on video destroying a cop car and spitting at cops. And that's what he did. And you've probably seen Relly Rel a bunch of times. But this was the funniest thing because I basically, all I did was say, like, I retweeted that video of him like ripping the car off and spitting at cops, and I just listed the charges that he should be arrested for, and this is what he made this video about me after. Hysterical. So this is really Rel.
Nigga right here, this nigga right here put out I should be arrested for 6 crimes, and then they sent the U.S. Marshals to my crib and locked me up for the 6 crimes that he posted on his fucking podcast.
That was it right there. You know, that was it. Same police agitated, different parade. Crimes observed on video: criminal mischief, petty larceny, criminal possession of stolen property, walking in the street when sidewalks available, harassment of a police officer, disorderly conduct. Did I miss anything? And then the marshals showed up at his house and locked him up.
Yeah, if you could also recall, he was the guy who showed up at a MOS's house.
Yep.
And tossed I don't know if it was paper or something in fire, an object that he lit on fire into the yard. I'm not sure if he actually tossed it, but he certainly seemed to be leading the protest in front of that MOS's house.
Yeah.
So.
No, yeah. But he was out there. He was looking to cause trouble that night too. Mm-hmm. So it was like it was a wild scene all over New York. And then they had like that sandstorm too, like the day prior too. It was wild. There was a lot of different things. But this is just like a video compilation somebody put together of all the insanity happening on July 4th. And it's just all over the city, you know. It was just wild, you know, like street takeovers. And it was every borough. It wasn't just anywhere, you know. It wasn't just like one place specifically. Manhattan was a disaster. Staten Island was a disaster. Brooklyn, Queens, and the Bronx. They were all disasters. And the fact is, it showed one thing: the department's completely understaffed. They couldn't control any of these street takeovers. There were street takeovers with people. There were other street takeovers with vehicles. Where like the vehicles were basically, you know, they were shooting off fireworks. They were doing all this crazy stuff, beating people up. I mean, wild stuff, dude. Wild stuff. Muted, bro.
Yeah, sorry. Remember what I keep saying about the West having a problem with nihilistic, directionless youth? Okay. Well, there you go. There's another example of it, you know, between the street takeovers and, you know, it seems like our chat is down in YouTube as well now, John. So I'm not seeing any comments from our YouTube crowd at all now, even though they're still watching.
Well, I think they left, but it shows us that we're live on YouTube. But I don't think that we are, dude. I haven't really looked.
Yeah. Sorry about that, guys.
Sorry, we're not allowed to report the news here on the Finance Unfiltered.
Yeah, just jump on X, you jump on Facebook, or jump on Rumble, and join us there. I'm going to hop in that chat as well and see if I can keep things moving along. But yeah. Remember, I keep talking about our nihilistic, directionless youth. How the West has a problem with it. Well, you keep seeing instances of it. Be it the street takeovers with the cars or hair. And by the way, there were some street takeovers in the Bronx on Saturday night as well, right? But yeah, these things keep happening, and we're not prepared for it because we don't have enough cops to handle these large crowds. And keep in mind, things are only going to get worse next year because a lot of, like, my class is coming up for retirement, and the July class is coming up for retirement too. And those classes were pretty decent sized, So if you think it's bad this year, what's going to happen next year? We're not going to be able to. We don't have new recruits coming in for this year again. And by the time you get to the next year, you're still going to have a 6-month period where there's not enough cops there. Even if you were to get a large class for January of 2027, they still need 6 months in the academy, right? And maybe another 6 months to actually, figure out what exactly they have to do as cops or how they should handle situations like this,
Yeah, I don't know, dude. Wild stuff, man. Did you see Mondani's speech too? Like, did you see his speech, his 250 speech? I thought that was wild, man. I was like, wow, what a piece of garbage. If like the things he said about America, like basically, and was like basically trying to say that like Republicans hate immigrants and they hate you if you look different or you believe something different. He was basically saying that Republicans are like white supremacists, Christian nationalists. Like it was insane. I was like, I don't know what the hell this is, but it was wild, dude.
Yeah, no, I didn't actually, I saw I saw a post about it and I was like, I'm not gonna even bother with this clown. All that stuff, man. These people, these elites right now, right? And remember parts of government, in particular the progressive side, the very leftist progressive DSA wing, they keep trying to divide us right now. Uh, well, don't get me wrong. Some Republicans are trying that too, but they all want us fighting each other instead of paying attention to what's really going on. And it just gets me annoyed.
Yeah, this is
Look,
this is him.
he had to wait until the 4th of July to do this BS. Like what man?
This is him. Listen to what he says.
As we mark 250 years, what do we see? We see a city of contradictions within a nation of contradictions. We see the wealthiest country in the history of the world, one where children go to sleep hungry while the world's first trillionaire hungers for more. We see monopolies that dominate every industry and oligarchs who buy elections. We see masked agents terrorizing our streets, eating food cooked by our undocumented neighbors before spiriting them away in unmarked vans. We see a nation whose immense wealth has been built by those with calloused, dirt-streaked hands, those who toil on factory floors and chisel into stone. And we see a nation that has allowed so much of that wealth to be held instead in the soft hands of a precious few. As we mark 250 years.
Precious few like him. I mean, we showed you what his palace in Uganda looks like. His government security-backed palace with his helicopter pad and boat ramp. And wild, dude. Absolutely wild. It took 250 years to basically attack America. Attack America, attack ICE, attack Musk. I'm like, what are we doing here? And meanwhile, you're a millionaire, dude. Like, what are you talking about? What chip on the shoulder do you have?
Yeah. It's all to divide us and get us to not talk about the issues that are at hand. He has a whole bunch of problems on his hand. The fact that the city may run out of cash in November because of the way things are going. Okay. And he doesn't want you thinking about those things because those reflect badly on his administration. I mean, we just talked about Operation Hood, and I pointed out how these guys, I mean, they tell you themselves on their page, their budget is $1.8 million. Okay, $1.8 million, right? Think how much wasteful spending that is when this group has nothing to show from it, right? And instead of him, instead of him talking about that and fixing issues like this wasteful spending, they want you to be fighting amongst each other and to be, they want more disruption and they don't want you to be talking about things like that. $1.8 million, all that wasteful spending. And we had a show on Friday where we talked about how ultimately you're going to pay for it. You, the taxpayer, and you, the pensioner are going to pay for it, because the thing is they already owe the pension funds $39 billion in a couple of years. And what we should be doing is cutting all the wasteful spending right now so that we can start building back up that money. We can start putting aside that money when it's time to, put it in the pension funds. And instead, they don't want to do that. Instead, they're saying they want to stop the contributions to your pension right now so he can get even more money for his current budget. So when you see things like this, it's ultimately going to be paid for by you. Okay. And when you see distractions like his speech, it's because he doesn't want you to be talking and thinking about that. He wants you to be fighting amongst each other, to be arguing about stupid shit. Okay. You know, so yeah, man, that just annoys me. You know, you wait till that day to talk about nonsense. You know, I mean, these divide and conquer tactics. You know, they get tiring after a while.
No, yeah, it's true. Yeah, I mean that's a good point. That's a good point. Like it's a total distraction. You know, it's so stupid. You know, and it happens with everybody too. You know, it completely happens with everybody. I saw a video the other day, crime in New York City, and I got nothing against crime in New York City, the X handle, but he posted, or she, I don't know who it is. They posted a image of, looked like a bunch of Spanish families in New York City, and they had the Johnny Pump open, or the fire hydrant open. We call it the Johnny Pump. We used to call it the Johnny Pump. And the kids were playing, and because of the protected bike lanes in the city and the misshape of the sidewalk, it basically formed like this little pool, right? And they were like, look at this disgusting pool, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, wait a minute. I grew up in Brooklyn. We had no money. When it was hot in the summer, like it was these past 2 days, we used to open up the Johnny Pump all the time, and I would play in it. You know what I mean? And so would all the other kids in my neighborhood, and some even the adults. And it was fun. And you know, the cops would come, FD would come, and they'd shut it down, threaten us, and they'd leave, and we get the big wrench again and open it back up. You know, and like we you know, was it safe? Probably not. But I mean, you know, we were cooling down, we were having fun. You know, and you know, it doesn't matter the demographic, whether it's Puerto Rican kids, it's Muslim kids, it's black kids, it's Italian kids. Doesn't really matter. That's like almost a rite of passage in New York City. And you know, I think we just lose the messaging sometimes. You know what I mean? We just lose the messaging sometimes. And you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Should it be done? Is it safe? No, but like at the end of the day, it's just kids having fun, and they're trying to cool down and trying to beat the summer heat. They live in the projects, they live in apartment buildings. Maybe they don't have great air conditioning in the building. It's super hot, and they're outside. And honestly, those are some of my fondest memories of growing up, and is like that. And like we really didn't have a pot to piss in, and it was like I didn't know it. You know, I felt fine running through the Johnny Pump, getting cool. So it happens on both sides, right? They like Marlon said, they like it's constant bickering and fighting, really a lot of times over issues that are non-issues, you know. So there's definitely that. This disturbed me a lot. Marlon, is it raining by you too? That's before I get into this next video. Marlon, Nolan says it's downpouring right now. I know New York City declared a state of emergency. I'm down the shore. It's raining here. I can't tell how hard though.
Yeah, it is. And in fact, yeah, it is raining here. Heavy. Yeah. I'll be right back.
All right. So, but this disturbed me too. I don't know if any of you guys seen this. So this is right by where I lived in Staten Island. I still own a home there, not too far. This is on New York Lane on Highland Boulevard, right? Pretty populated area. You have an Asian woman getting off the bus here. And look what happens to her. You know, she's walking, she's being surrounded by a pack of feral youth. They're throwing water on her, and they just start beating her up. Older woman being jumped. This is how these kids fight too. Like they fight like little rabid animals, you know, and then they run away and they film the content. I mean, it's disgraceful, man. It's really hard to watch. It's hard to watch, and it's hard to think that the 122 precinct is right there. Like it's literally right down the block. And like, where are the cops? And these, like, again, I talk about it often. Like, these are the things that happen when you don't have a properly staffed police force that are out there patrolling the streets. You don't just need cops to go to 911 calls. You don't just need cops to do investigation. You need cops to actually perform patrol as well. It's a vital function. It's an omnipresence. It deters crime. It displaces crime. It stops crime from happening altogether. And watching this video really, really disturbs me. And the other thing, I like my later teen years, I was on Staten Island. Like, look at all the cars that are there. If this would have happened when I was a teenager, you better believe somebody would have stopped that car and beat the shit out of all of these kids here. And like people are just driving by. I'm sure somebody stopped to film it from across the street. Elderly Asian woman getting her ass kicked for absolutely no reason. I mean, absolutely disgraceful, absolute failure in public safety. Woman's walking home from the bus stop, probably coming home from work, and she's got to get beaten like this by a pack of rabid youth. The failure in public safety, this again falls on every single elected official.
Yeah. That happened in Staten Island, right? I missed
Staten Island, right on Newdorp Lane, right on Highland Boulevard.
Yeah. And the lady being attacked, is she Asian?
Asian woman getting off the bus just got attacked by a pack of rabid kids.
I remember the city saying that attacks on hate crimes against Asians were also up a while ago. But I think this goes back to the point that we made a while ago, that if the city cares about hate crimes, right, you should care about street crimes as well, because there are many attacks that they themselves classify as hate crimes that happen on the street, and if you actually care about preventing those from happening, you need to have more cops on patrol and more of a police presence in these areas, so that people won't commit these attacks on the street. I think this is a point that I think that the city glosses over all the time. When they talk about, I've seen Tish at city council answering questions about it, and this is a point that nobody ever brings up. Okay, if you want to protect these communities that you yourself say are up in hate crimes, okay, including the Jewish communities in certain parts of Brooklyn, right? What you need to do is have more of a police presence there in those neighborhoods, so that those attacks on the street don't happen. But never do I see anybody in city council ask them about that, ask that type of follow-up question in regards to the rise in hate crimes. Okay.
Well, the whole thing, like that to me, when they start to talk about hate crimes, that shows to me how little they understand public safety. Because I continuously say to the Jewish community, to the Asian community, you cannot properly bring down hate crimes without bringing down all crime. Hate crimes are crimes of opportunity. They're street crimes, they're street assaults, they're street robberies. A lot of times, like I said, is it really hate, or is it victimization, where they see it's an easy target and then they're saying some, derogatory statements towards the individual while they're just committing a crime of opportunity. And that's what I see when I see those actions. Oh, you effing this, you effing that. It's really just a crime of opportunity where they see these identifiable groups as victims. And I said that all the time. I used to train the rookies all the time in the 6-6. Like, as soon as we would get a new class, I would bring them up to 8th Avenue and be like, all these people are victims here. You should see victims. We're continuously getting Hispanic males ages 15 to 23, sometimes male blacks. They're coming in from all over parts of the city to rob these people because they look at the Asian community as weak. They look at them as they don't defend themselves, and they see targets, and they know they carry a lot of money. Same is true when it goes to the Jewish community, when it goes to the Hasidic community, which is why the Hasidics started to push back with groups like, the Shamrin and Shmira and all that. So, to me, like, I just show, like, when I see a rise in hate crimes, you can't have a 100% rise in hate crime and tell me that crime's down, because it's a lie.
Yeah.
It's either you have no rise in hate crimes. If you have a rise in hate crimes, you have a rise in crime. That's what that shows. And you have a rise in violent street crime as well, which shows that there's this like lawless attitude in New York City. And they haven't brought down hate crimes. So, well, actually they did, right? Because we manipulated those numbers as well too, because now it's confirmed hate crimes. Only if you you know that the proper community leaders is it going to be a hate crime. If it's really a hate crime and you don't know anybody, it's not going to be classified as a hate crime.
Yeah, they love talking about hate crimes, but they never really propose any real solutions to it, you know? And which goes back to something like I've said before, it's the fear from hate crimes that they love using. And again, they love manipulating your emotions, the public's emotions. And when you talk about hate crimes, you're instilling fear in the public, you know, but you never really propose a solution to the problem. And the solutions that are proposed on a national level, we're talking solutions by the Southern Poverty Law Center and all those BS groups, right? Those solutions, though, include censoring you online. Okay, they're not practical solutions. Okay, on the local level, the practical solution would be, like we say, more cops on the street, more uh, um, greater and actual follow through by the law to make sure that people who are arrested for street crimes are prosecuted and serve their time. Okay, that would be the solution to hate crimes. Instead, that's never talked about. Okay.
100%. So, all right, we got ripped down on YouTube, going on 2 hours, 30 minutes. We're going to start to close things out now. We still got about 2,400 people on here with us. We were talking about the shooting of Detective Robert Carroll that occurred in the early morning of July 5th, following July 4th. We went into that. We spoke in detail about why we believe this was a friendly fire shooting, why we believe that overworked, exhausted cops demoralized cops have led to this shooting. And, you know, and really just the overall public safety failures in the entire apparatus of New York City. We titled the episode, "Sorry Kid, You've Been Shot." We played a video that's been played all over the news. For some reason, YouTube decided to take us down. I have no idea what the hell that's about, saying we're showing a gun, live streaming, like we're showing and playing with guns, when actually we're reporting and commentating on a shooting that occurred. And we showed the individual who appeared to be high or drunk, fumbling around with the firearm. That video has been out. It's on other places on YouTube. And yeah, I personally believe that the NYPD figuratively shot the detective in the back, as well as literally shot the detective in the back. And, you know, I wish him a speedy recovery. I hope he enjoys his retirement. It's sad to see people like that go from the New York City Police Department. It's sad to see experienced, competent people leave New York City Police Department, rush out the door after 20 years. But all of the issues occurring in the New York City Police Department are just going to lead to a lot more of that. And, you know, you're consistently told crime is at historic lows in New York City. And I think throughout the entire Tish regime, as long as she's there, regardless of what's actually occurring in reality, we're just going to continue to hear that crime is at historic lows. To me, it appears real narcissistic, and it's just does not make sense from what we witness every day. On top of the shooting of the detective, we also had a mass shooting that occurred in Coney Island, and yet we haven't heard anything about the crime numbers from July 5th and in the early morning hours. From July 4th and the early morning hours of July 5th. We haven't heard anything. And just another thing, there was another shooting at a park yesterday with other kids. So, you know, there's gang violence rife throughout New York City. Street crimes up, violent crimes up, rapes are up. I don't care what's being reported. Doesn't matter to me. Something's not right here. Before we get to the super chats, you got anything to add?
No. But yes, real via VP, it's not just us saying that, okay? So there are questions that need to be answered about the shooting, and the job and Tish aren't being forthright with us right now. Okay, I think we all need to keep paying attention to this and seeing what comes out later on. Okay, that will, one way or the other, that'll prove whether just how forthright the job is with us in this incident. And I want to bring up one other incident um, where the job again was not being honest with us in the details there, and that is of this incident. You guys recall this? An officer conducted his own off-duty investigation and supposedly tracked a vehicle that was involved in stealing his other vehicle, right? His wife's vehicle. And he got out, approached the driver, and eventually shot into the passenger side, striking a passenger in the head. That passenger, last I heard, remains basically brain dead in a Bronx hospital. And the details were scarce when this came out, and there was no proper follow up by the media on it. And months later, we hear the cop is indicted. Okay, and still then there's been no follow up by the news media. And think how terrible this is. Now, recall a couple of years ago, there was an incident on the Jersey Turnpike where a member of Tariq Shepard's staff in DCPI, which is our press office in the NYPD for the civilians watching, right? Remember, he went to a wedding and he was intoxicated. He was alleged to be intoxicated on his way back up on the turnpike, and he got into some road rage incident with another vehicle, and he shot the driver. And that driver is quadriplegic and is almost in a vegetative state in a hospital, and he'll be like that for the remainder of his life. The job, I mean, his family is suing the job for, I believe it's 27 million, but it's money that he's gonna need for his health care because again, he won't be able to do anything for himself for the remainder of his life, right? And we talked about how egregious that was, okay? And this incident, I'll argue, might be just as egregious because the person that he shot in the head had nothing to do with so far, what we're being told is he had nothing to do with the robbery of the guy's vehicle. And even if he did, we still have rules to follow as cops. You can't just go conduct your own investigation. You can't just be your own vigilante. It doesn't, I'm sorry, but it doesn't work that way. And so this was pretty egregious. And there was no follow-up by the media, and there was few details given by the NYPD. And I believe in this incident as well was Tish exerting her control over the media, her influence over the media to not talk about it. Because if they talk about it, then we got to ask questions like, how was this officer conducting that investigation? Who put him in that unit that he was in, which was in a Gracie Mansion Intel security gig, which is a pretty good gig, okay? And to my knowledge, you need a crane to get into that, okay? You can't, the regular cop on patrol, good luck applying to that unit and just getting in there, okay? Good luck with that, right? So there are a lot of questions about that, and if the media were to dig into those questions, the job really looks bad. And Tish, again, is doing a lot of perception management to make sure that her reputation and her image as being the female Ray Kelly, is intact. So I believe, again, this incident that happened, this latest detective that was shot, that there are questions that need to be answered, but the information we're getting is being manipulated, and we're not getting a complete picture of the incident because I think Tish is influencing the media, and it's and the user and managing our perception of the incident. So we need to keep an eye on that for further details as they come out.
Yeah, just listen to, for those of you that don't just get in here, the real VP just joined. He says friendly fire ? I mean, they never told you the perp's bullet struck the detective.
Yeah.
They told you that the windshield was shot from the front and the side of the vehicle. So if that's the case, how did he get shot in the back? and they would have said that the bullet struck him. Now we're not questioning the shooting here. We're not trying to say that these cops are going to get indicted later. We're not saying that at all. I mean, we showed you the video that YouTube is saying we're not allowed to show, even though it's from YouTube. Whatever. We showed you the video where it looks like the perpetrator's in an altered state of mind with an illegal firearm. Apparently, he had just fired rounds somewhere else and a job came over when he walks by these detectives that were inside of a vehicle out in the bowels of Brooklyn, even though they were assigned to an earlier 4th of July detail, and then post change. Because, we have so many cops now that we have to keep experienced detectives in uniform and move them throughout the city. So that's a story for another day. So, but we're not questioning, is the shooting good? The shooting's good, but the details just are not there, right? There's just there is a clear messaging coming up, and there is no media that asks questions anymore. I mean, to me, I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, okay. So it was a friendly fire shooting. What happened? How exhausted were these cops? The cop that pulled the trigger, how long were they working for? How long were all of those people working for? These are questions that matter. When was the last time they had a day off? Did they want to be there? Did they volunteer for it? Detective Carroll was 10 days away from retirement. Was he ordered to go there, or did he volunteer to it? All of these questions matter. And if he was ordered to go there, why? Why is he leaving, running out the door when he hits his 10 years? What's going on there? Why wasn't he promoted? Why isn't he a second grade detective? All of this matters. So, Detective Carroll, if you're still watching, if you're on here, if you hear about this later, just want to give you a formal invite. You come on here, tell your story. You were there. We weren't. We're just analyzing from the outside based upon the details that we've gotten from the news and combine that with our experience, and we analyze situations. And this is what we've came up with. It appears that the department sold you out, and that this was a friendly fire situation, and the news media looks to be just the propaganda arm of the department at this point. And I don't care, right wing, left wing. You're not going to get access to the department, kid. You want access to the department? You want to go to all the fancy events in New York City? You want a front row seat? You're gonna play along with us. And if you don't, we're gonna remove all that from you. And that's just what it appears to be for me. I don't see any media. I haven't seen a media for a long time. I mean, how long did it take before all the corruption out of the Adams administration came out? How long were we reporting that before it all started to come down? 2 years? 2.5 years? And then all of a sudden it was cool to start reporting about the corruption in New York City and inside the New York City Police Department. So, yeah, I don't know, man. And again, I just see a department in decline. And I see a department that could be easily fixed if we just have some competence in there. And we just have some people who actually give a shit, instead of a bunch of people going to a press conference they don't want to be at, looking like they had too many the night before. So it's disgraceful to me, bro. So you ready for the super chats?
Yeah. Let's get to it. And we also have a problem, John, with our X chat. Okay, apparently you could only see your chat comments on X. You can't see other people's chat. And normally on X chat, you can see other people's comments as well. See, this is me. This is what I see on my X chat. I only see my comments. I don't see your guys' comments. The only way I'm able to see the comments that you post up on X right now is via StreamYard itself. But there's definitely some shenanigans going on.
A lot of it's going on my own personal X as well.
Oh, okay.
So if you go to my personal X, there's 2 chats up on. We're up 2 times on X.
Yeah, let me check that one out and see if that one.
Yeah, you should see the comments. They're coming in on my X. I think right now my X has 2,300 viewers on it right now. Finest Cast has 305. YouTube 0. Ridiculous. I don't even want to get into it. Whatever. But every time we start going viral, every time it's a major topic and with reporting completely separately from the mainstream media, we get taken down for nonsense.
Yeah. I see more people on your chat.
We're promoting violence. Get the fuck, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Keep in mind also, we didn't go down until we started talking about this, John.
True. Yeah, and we were like 30 minutes past that video clip.
Yeah. And keep in mind also, we talked on Friday about that. No, it wasn't Friday. I was watching a video a couple weeks ago of the Times Square shooting.
Yeah.
We didn't go down when we talked about that episode. And that episode, we showed the footage of him firing at Times Square. And YouTube didn't take us down then.
They took us down on the original Times Square one.
Yeah. Way back
And
when, but not
that
one.
they took us down on that one with the kid walking in with the fake gun.
Yeah, but listen, remember the kid that walked in Times Square with a fake gun? We were telling the department that they should be more aware of that. And then what happens on Monday? On Monday, the Gracie Mansion terrorist attack happened.
Yeah.
So it's very, very curious.
Yep.
Yeah, but let's get to the super chats.
All right, let's do it. Staten Guy 321. He said, by the way, the job is terrified of you. Patrol boroughs, PSB, personnel, medical unit, all the bosses wish you guys would stop telling the truth. Get louder. You need to be heard or turn to be radical. Our turn to be radical. Look, I don't think that we're radical. And I think the fact that anyone even thinks that this platform's radical just shows the state of freedom in this country. You know, I've said it before. I'll say it again. I believe freedom is a muscle, just like your muscles. If you don't work them out, they grow atrophy. If you do not exercise your freedoms in this country, our elected officials will continue to progress past the United States Constitution and the founding. And on both sides, by the way, on both sides, they do not want you to have the freedom to criticize either of them. Our freedoms will atrophy, and our freedoms are atrophying because we're afraid to speak what we're telling our families and our friends in private. We're afraid to say that in public. Like I said, I realized that I was so guilty of that in 2021 when I was being faced with termination for absolutely no reason. For doing absolutely nothing wrong, for being a 5.0 rated employee my whole time, for putting a career in front of my family, in front of my children. And I didn't go along with the leftist tyrannical narrative that Eric Adams and Bill de Blasio wanted me to go on. So then I became a bad cop. I was no longer a good cop, even though my community loved me, my peers loved me, my supervisors loved me, my subordinates loved me. And that was true my entire career. And I realized that, you know what? It's my fault for not being louder about all of this garbage that's been coming out for the last 10 years of my career. You know, was I loud internally? Yeah, I was. Should I have been loud publicly? I absolutely should have been. You know, I absolutely should have been. So this is not a radical platform. This is an American platform based on the freedoms, based on the founding of this country, where we're entitled to have our own opinions. We're entitled to push back against narratives. We're entitled to tell the truth about what we believe. And we're entitled to give opinions, whether they're right or wrong. There's nothing wrong with that in this country. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And if we're continuing to believe that, we're going to go down a really, really slippery slope. And one day, like Ronald Reagan said, we're going to be sitting around with our grandkids telling them about the time when we actually had freedom in America.
Yeah, well said. Well said.
You know, illustrate life. He says, see how Venezuela treated the police? If past is prologue, Mondani is saying very similar things. The government works for we the people. Vote and hold them accountable through courts before it's too late. New York is the golden goose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've said it before, you know, things are changing. You know, just because New York was the financial capital of the world for these last close to 100 years, you know, that doesn't mean it's guaranteed for the future. And this is why you have to, you know, a city's financial health is just more than business, okay? It's an ecosystem, right? Because if crime is out of hand, if people don't feel safe here, young people aren't going to want to work here. And if young people don't want to work here, then these businesses have a recruitment issue, right? And naturally, they're going to want to be positioned in a place where the young people, they're the most attractive workers, right? You want the guys with the best degrees or skill sets suitable for their corporation want to be. And if they don't want to be in New York, then those companies have a problem, and they're going to go to those locations where those people want to be. what those young people want to be. And this means that you're going to have less money in your ecosystem, less businesses there, and that leads to a New York City that is not the New York City that we knew about for the last 100 years in terms of its financial, its status as a financial hub. So this is why we need to all pay attention to this, and we need to hold government accountable, because if we don't, then you can expect this city to change, and you can damn sure expect your pension to change too, because if there's no money, then obviously they can't pay you what they owe you, right?
Yeah, I mean, illustrate life. Just, I mean, that's pretty heavy. What they wrote. So we appreciate the super chat, but it's the reality of it. We are heading down a very slippery slope, and it's because of things like this. I mean, basically everyone that Mondani's endorsed, and I don't even want to just put this on Mondani, because I'm going to say it again. It's the Democratic Party, right? It's the Democratic Party. Their ultimate goal is to abolish the police department. It's wild, man. It's totally wild. And then we played you the clips last week where they were talking about, they're not saying getting rid of authority whatsoever. They want to come up with a civilian-based authority that's rooted in communism. How has that worked out throughout world history? Like wild stuff here, man. So, or woman, I don't know who you are, straight life, but yeah, it's heavy, dude. And that's what, that's what I'm saying here is like, we're doing nothing revolutionary here. We're giving our opinion. Same shit that the guys and girls are talking about in the locker room, in the patrol car, on the telephone. They're telling their wife, they're telling their girlfriend, they're telling their boyfriend, the things they're talking about with their friends at the bar, their mind internally. Those are the things we're discussing here. We shouldn't be afraid to do that publicly, and we shouldn't be afraid to address our elected officials, our elected representatives. They are civil servants. They work for us. We shouldn't be afraid of calling out the criticism for anybody or anything. And we become such a weak, emasculated society, man. We used to be a really tough nation, and I don't know what the hell's going on. And the whole thing, you're a cop now, you have thick skin. Well, let's start getting all thick skin as humans do. How about that? So Staten Guy says, at what point do cops get radical? We have it all happen to us. I don't know what it looks like. Repeal the Taylor law. The union isn't doing a thing, all of them. When do UMS organize and do something? It's abuse. I mean, look, they're doing what they could do. They're organizing with their feet. They're voting with their feet. Are they voting in the union with their votes? No, because again, I told you, I think that if you look at what occurs during union, if you look at what occurs during police union elections, it's fraud. It's a crime. It's racketeering. It's extortion. It's insane. Like that should be literally looked at criminally. People are controlling an election, putting in these unfair rules in order to keep major budgets, $80 million budgets. It's a RICO charge, in my opinion. So I'm not talking about that. So cops are doing what they could do. Of all ranks, they're walking with their feet. They're saying, all right, this is no longer for me. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's about as radical as you could get as a police officer. Yeah.
Well, keep in mind, all residents are doing that too. We see how many people leaving New York City.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think cops feel that's the only way to actually, object to what's going on and not end up losing your pension or all that you've worked for the past 20 years.
Yeah. Crazy, man. So, all right, what do we got here? We got Nolan. He says, oh, I can't even pull up the super chats. Oh, here we go. All right. He says, John, I make you look young on my vids. Appreciate that. Am I bugging out here?
Now, but the super chat's coming up?
Am I on?
Yeah.
No. Is my connection good? You hear me?
Yeah.
Something's up with my connection. All right, let's get off this quick.
You're kind of starting to break up. You're becoming jittery. So I don't know if
I'm
the
breaking
connection-
up, bro. It's coming
Yeah.
down pretty hard here. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's
You
see
got me
what's
or no?
next. That's next. Did we get Jack Greco? Jack Greco, Kashi Bevel,
No.
John get RR'd today or remanded. Yeah. 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 Jack Greco is referencing the fact that John looks like he's in central booking right now. Yeah. He looks like he's in the hallway of BCB, Brooklyn Central Booking right now. Like next to the where EMS looks at your prisoner. Yeah. Or he's doing intake right now at BCB.
Yeah. Funny shit.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, at
use
least
code
it-
finance for Kaushi.
Yeah. Yeah, guys. So next super chat, we got $5 from Benny Boy 7670. Benny Boy says, "What if the shooter is an alien with a deport order?" Well, yeah, that's a good question, Benny. We don't know, and they're not even releasing the perp's name. And again, that's why it's like that's why we're saying that they're not being forthright with us with all the details going on. I mean, if he is or he isn't, just let us know. But you're giving us just the basic details. You're making allusions to, again, Detective Familia, and you're asking us to piece together what happened, or to, if you're trying to allude to it being an assassination, just come right out and tell us. Did the perp walk by and fire into the vehicle at the detectives? Okay. Because if that is what happened, I again want to know, how was it possible that the detective gets shot in the back, or did he get shot in the back when he was trying to apprehend the perp? I mean, the point is though that there are lots of questions about this that are unanswered, and when we've seen similar press conferences like this with questions unanswered, or the job letting us alluding to certain things but not being forthright with us, we've seen that the details haven't exactly been the details put the department in a bad light. Okay. Because it highlights their failures, and I think Tish is doing that deliberately to protect her reputation. Okay. So yeah, thank you, Benny Boy. We appreciate the $5 super chat. Next up is I Told You So Back When, who gives us $1.99 to the podcast. I Told You So. We always appreciate you, brother. Okay. He says Eric Adams was right. I miss him. I don't want to go that far now. I told you so back when, because I hate the choices that we're being given. It's either we accept systematic corruption or we accept systematic corruption, but more in a more disciplined form, which is Mamdani. I think it's the same BS. It's just Mamdani is he's a little more disciplined, and he's much he projects a better image of it than Eric Adams was. But I'm not gonna say I miss him. I don't think I'll ever say that. Because I think, in all honesty, the city might have dodged a bullet, from Adams, because you saw the level of corruption that was that came out of his administration. So.
Yeah.
But
yeah, absolutely. I would never say, vote for the most corrupt mayor of all time. Oh, I missed the most corrupt mayor of all time.
Yeah. Those are two terrible choices, terrible choices.
Yeah.
But thank you. I told you so.
Yeah. And Tori just asked, does the takedown affect the show, generally speaking, or just the specific episode? It's just a specific episode. I appealed it. I doubt we'll win the appeal. We didn't appeal. We didn't win last time, and we did nothing wrong that time either. We didn't violate anything, even if you read the guidelines. I think the same's here. We'll probably just put out a clip or something, or like shorter episodes, so you could watch that on YouTube. It's obviously not good, right? It's never good when you're growing and you're looking to continue earning money, revenue. It obviously harms us revenue based. And we want to gain more subscribers. And if we're not up and we're not alive, we're missing those subscribers at that point. So we'll probably take a hit from that a day, and that'll affect us monetarily as well. So it is what it is, man. It is what it is. We've been fighting against the world for a little bit now, so we're kind of used to it. Nothing, whatever. We're just going to keep giving our opinions, keep giving our truth, keep analyzing it. Like I said, there's nothing radical here. This is basically the new ESPN. The Finest Unfiltered is the new ESPN. We're getting people who are actually out there on the field, analyzing situations that are occurring in the field. So that's that, people. But we appreciate all you staying with us. We appreciate you guys joining us, switching over to the platforms. We had about 2,800 people, almost 2,900 people with us this morning. And that's with us getting taken down from YouTube. Anybody, like always, anybody disagrees with anything you got to say, you're welcome to your opinion. We'll actually address your opinion. You're going to have to do it in some form of a super chat or email us, and we can bring it up later. Our website's back up live, www.thefinestunfiltered.com. You could always email us through that there. You can make donations through that there. And we'd appreciate that if you could help us grow. Obviously, we're a self-funded podcast. We do have Kaushi now as a sponsor, with a few other sponsors that you'll hear on our audios. And we appreciate all those as well. Cozy Earth, also, comforter company, towel company, clothing company, great company. I use them. I have a lot of products from them. I actually sleep in their sheets. So shout out to them as well. And a couple other people. So yeah, we're looking to grow. We're looking to turn this into a major network. And I think we're headed in that direction. And it is what it is. There's not going to, the smooth seas never made a good sailor, right? So that's it. We're learning. We'll take our bumps and bruises, and we'll fight back when we got to fight back. So,
yeah, we'll be back. And so I saw a comment. I just want to remind you that Collapse podcast says it has to be pretty bad if people miss Adams. I just want to remind you guys though that let's remember that the police department wasn't exactly competent during Eric Adams' administration.
It was the DEI corruption network.
Yeah. And additionally, there are certain people that are still there from Eric Adams' administration. So let's just throw some cold water on the bring Eric Adams back audience. So, or crowd.
Yeah.
But yeah, we appreciate you guys joining us this morning, and we appreciate you, chat, and your super chats. We thank you for spending time with us this morning, and if you're gonna be out there today, stay safe, stay dry, and stay alert as best you can. Okay. If you're feeling sleepy, right, you need to find a way to, even if it's just to get 10 minutes, to get 10 minutes so you could refresh yourself and stay alert, because you never know what's out there, as can be seen from this latest incident, right? So we'll see you guys on Wednesday.
Oh yeah, and our other venture that we should soon be getting into. I hope I stay up this whole time, but I think we're gonna start a record label soon. We're working on our first album. It's called The Job's Dead. The Job's Dead album 26. This is another one coming out of DJ 1063 or MC 1063, which in NYPD lingo means meal, right? 1063. I'm going on meal. So an hour break. This is another song that just came out, and we can't take credit for making it, but we could certainly take credit for helping to share it. So this is another one that got a lot of love and support. We're gonna close with this one today. So yeah, like Marlon said, thank all of you. Make sure you check us out. We'll be back Wednesday morning. Obviously, 10-4 Tavern closed down. One of Tom's dogs just passed. So sorry to Tom. I know what that feels like. My dogs are a member of my own family. They're like my kids. So I hope everything's good over there in the Joyce household. I know you stay strong. And obviously, we missed the 10-4 Tavern, so they're not going to be on Tuesday. But Ron and Rob will be back on Wednesday. So I guess Ron's not going to use the video that we showed. Ron, don't use that video. And
Yeah, right. Huh.
yeah. But I appealed it. I don't think it'll come back in time. And like I said, I think they'll deny the appeal because they did last time on 0 grounds. But whatever.
Yeah. If you guys missed an episode of the 10-4 Tavern, tomorrow we're gonna be showing excerpts and reruns in their place. We're probably gonna be doing it for the remainder of the year until this year finish up. But if you happen to miss an episode, just tune in and to rewatch it or to catch that episode. Yeah, and I echo John's statement that we're gonna miss the tavern, and we hope everything's everything's going well for Tom. In spite of the death of you know which dog it was? Was it Moxie or?
I don't want to say it. I know the Moxie and Maisie, but I don't want to say it because I'm not 100% sure. But it's but they're basically they both look exactly the same to me. It doesn't matter. Like honestly, it's just whichever one it was. It's horrible. It's always tough. With animals, you get so attached to them. Chronicle says he thinks it was Moxie. I think it was too. I just don't want loss, Tom. Yeah, sorry. So, but yeah, shout out to Pete Forcelli and Tom Joyce. Like I said, it's going to be a big void that I don't know that we'll be able to make up, but we'll try to. And we'll keep rocking and rolling. And if any. And keep staying in touch with them, putting pressure on them. Maybe we could get them back in the future.
Yeah. One last thing. I promise. If you guys are looking for a good read, okay, please check out Pete's book. Okay. All right. Pete has been through a lot, and when the history books are written, I think he's going to go down as an American hero for literally going up against the deep state. Okay. So if you guys are looking for a good read, please, do us a favor and go to Pete's website. You can find a link in the chat and just check out his book, okay? And you can also find it on Amazon. So,
yeah. United States government gave him a lot of shit for having integrity and telling the truth and trying to fix wrongs from within while he was in the system. And Chronicles says Chronicles is equals she, for fuck's sake. Sorry, I don't know.
Okay.
Whenever I don't see a name, I don't know why I put a masculine tendency on it. So
Chronicles is yes.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chronicles. We appreciate you.
I appreciate you, Chronicles. Don't bite my head off. All right. So this is the next single in the Jobs Dead album. Take the Hit. All right, people. 3,000 people with us this morning. Appreciate every single one of you. Like I said, if you guys could just do us a favor, like, share, subscribe wherever you're watching and listen to it. So check out all of our handles as well. Make sure you follow all those, and we appreciate it. So yeah, all right, Marlon. Find us on Unfiltered, baby. We'll be back at you Wednesday.
Yeah. You already know what time it is. Another one from your boy, MC 1063. Internal affairs in the building, huh? Nah, they just at Hudson Street chilling, while we out here handling jobs, catching heat. But when it's time to sign, they just tell you, take the hit. They don't chase crime, they just chase a little slip. White socks, scuffed boots, memo book, they nitpick. Feds get the crooks, they just look for who to clip. Call you in the office, tell you sign and take the hit. GO15, same script, same skit. Stupid little questions any kid could have writ. Can't solve real crime, so they polish up a myth. Green paper on your desk like sign and take the hit. They don't want patrol, they don't want that gun belt. Never felt the panic when the real jobs dealt. Never hit the stairwell with your heart in your throat, but they'll write you up for a wrinkle in your coat. They don't ride nights, they don't hear that 1085, but they pull the body cam, slow it down frame by frame, turning nothing into something just to write down your name. They ain't looking for corruption, they just fishing for a fall. They don't chase crime, they just chase a little slip. White socks, scuffed boots, memo book, they nitpick. Feds get the crooks, they just look for who to clip. Call you in the office, tell you sign and take the hit. GO 15, same script, same skit. Stupid little questions any kid could have writ. Can't solve real dirt, so they polish up a myth. Green paper on your desk, like sign and take the hit. Officer, on this date, why your shoes ain't shine? Like I'm out here buffing leather while I'm stopping time. Why you wear white socks? Why your tie not straight? But they never ask why. The radio's broke. Why we down 3 cars, hitting that overtime cap before this song hits 5 bars. Call it misconduct, cause the memo page missed. They ain't never missed meal, they ain't never missed a date. They promote each other just for picking up a phone. Detective shoot at the command center for sitting in the ergonomic throne. Someone sell they soul for special assignment, turning principles into a career alignment. They don't chase crime, they just chase a little slip. White socks, scuff boots, memo book, they nitpick. Feds get the crooks, they just look for who to clip. Call you in the office, tell you sign and take the hit. They don't knock doors, they don't canvas on the case. They don't hit stairs with despair on their face. They don't read minds when the victim won't talk. They just read policy and practice their walk, dropping logs. Every rumor gets a file, so get back in that room with the tape on record. 2 suits, 1 live, 1 pre-written report. You're just trying to keep your pension, keep your life legit. They slide the paper across the table like sign it, take the hit. We take the radio, they take the seat. We take the corner, they take the sheet. We take the danger, they take the overtime. Feel that? Every green page is just a notch on the list. Every unsubstantiated, just a ghost in the mist. And when the real crooks dance, they ain't nowhere near it, cause that's federal work. They ain't got the spirit. GO 15, same script, same skit. Stupid little questions any kid could have writ. Can't solve real investigations, they just stage a little bit. Green paper on your soul, like sign it, take the hit. Yeah. Internal affairs, the chairs, not the streets. Group 1, group 10, different number. Same game again. The paper in their hands, not the dirt on their feet. You do the work, they just spin it a bit. End of the day, they still say, take the hit. Yeah. Take the hit. Take the hit.
There's a handful of retired officers that don't live in the state that have a lot to say about the dream team, as I like to call it. All of a sudden they retire and have a master plan on how to fight crime, but nothing to contribute when they were here. They want to come back and be part of the dream team. What can I say?